Tuesday morning, it's here. It's been quite the downpour overnight. I was sleeping at a point, had to wake up, do some work, and then I heard the rain hitting hard on the ceiling or the roofing, and then I realized, oh, we're still in this season. For a moment, I had forgotten that we're in this wet spell. But here we are, a bit of a wet morning, a bit of concern for those who find themselves in the Volta region, our brothers and sisters who have experienced everything they have over the last few weeks. But that's why we started the show the way we did, because we're going there again today. Welcome aboard the AM show with Bernice and Benjamin. But to kickstart, we'll be serving you the news, and right after that, guess who joins us? Like you know, on a Tuesday morning, Afil Mone. He is former president of the Ghana Journalists Association. And then from there, we'll be taking sports with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi and veering into our big stories. Now for the first, like I mentioned, the spillage of the Akosombo Dam is on our radar. And we're going to look at the effect on the people in the catchment areas. We'll also look at how they're trying to get their educational sector back on track. Schools are shut, some of them inundated with water. But what is the situation there? How are they coping? We'll be getting into that. It's also been pouring in some parts of Accra. Like I mentioned to you, in my neighborhood, it was pouring as well. This morning was pretty tricky. But what's the situation in your neighborhood? What was it like? Did it rain there? And if it did, what was the situation? It would be grateful if you could share some pictures with us via our social media handles. Joy News on Facebook. On the second belt of our show today, we'll be talking the Ghana Statistical Service collaborating with the Statistics Denmark Group presenting the 2023 Hackathon. What is it? It's a competition among 5 tertiary institutions. I will be bringing you more details later on the show. But as you followed, we've also brought you every last bit of it, the National Science and Math Quiz 2023. It's going to be quite the competition in the final. Well, we'll be telling you about what you can expect, and we'll also be hosting some of those who are sponsoring that event later on the show. So stick and stay. Let's serve you the news up next. Thank you for staying with us. Time now for our news belt. And in our very first story, the Ghana Health Service is investigating the passing of Nana Obeng, a 19-year-old second-year law student at the University of Ghana at the Awim Polyclinic in Cape Coast. Now, Nana Obeng's mother, Nellie Mills, says she brought her asthmatic son to the hospital to administer a nebulizer. She alleges that the medical staff administered an injection instead, leading to which tragically led to her son's death shortly afterwards. Now, the directorate says Nellie will have to wait for her answers after a thorough investigation and autopsy scheduled to last for the next 2 weeks.
I don't think anybody feels the pain I'm going through. If not, Ghana Health Service will not be sitting down.
Nellie Mills is grieving. She's unable to pick herself up after witnessing her son's untimely death at the Awim Polyclinic in Cape Coast. She tells me that her heart is in flames and nothing will douse it until she gets satisfactory answers from health authorities.
I left the food. I went back to my shop with Isaac, thinking that he was eating, only for him to call me around 6:43 to say that I should come. When I opened the door and I can say, "Hey, are you not worrying me?" He said, "Oh, ma, it's as if my asthma wants to." And I said, "Oh, but there's no news, because if your symptoms wants to come, you've been using Ventolin all this while, and you have your Ventolin pump around here, so just use it." And he said he has read about the asthma, that if he used to use nebulizer, that would have been faster than the Ventolin.
Her 19-year-old son, now being a second-year law student at the University of Ghana, perished at the Awim Polyclinic while seeking to use a nebulizer to control his asthma.
When we got there, I saw 2 people there, one male, one female. I greeted them and I said, my boy was an asthmatic and he needed the help of the oxygen. Then the male guy shouted. I didn't know even Nana has already seated on the first chair there. Then the male guy shouted, but if he needed oxygen, was that the place for him? Masa, get up and go and sit at the third chair. And I said, boss, is this the way you treat people here? We've never been here before. So if where he has sat, why he is certain is not the rightful place, I think you need to say it in a nice manner for him to move. You cannot maltreat my boy here.
Nelly said although she wanted to stay with her son, she rather chose to rush to the pharmacy to buy a prescribed medicine. But upon her return, Nana Oben's condition had deteriorated.
When we got there, only for me to know that the medicine was 7 cities. I thought that 7 cedis, and they don't have it at the facility there. You let's go. So we were chatting with the driver. When we got there, I met my boy vomiting. He's vomited, and they gave me rubber or something that he should vomit inside. Something. And I said, what is happening? Then he got up, he became like a tent. So when I was shouting, they came to hold me that I should go out. Then my boy shouted that they've injected him. So I was asking, what injection? What injection? Nana is not here for injection. Who gave him the injection?
Nelly sits on the favorite sofa her son used to occupy in the living room. Her eyes are fixed on his dance videos on TikTok. She begs authorities to set her heart at ease by telling her why her son died.
I went inside only to go and meet my boy lying there lifeless. So I started shouting, hey, my boy is dead, my boy is dead, because this thing, the underfoot were orange. Then they said he wasn't dead. I said, this person lying down. So they took me outside. Later I was there when Isaac came to ask me that one lady is saying they should come and ask me the boy's name, the date of birth, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but you don't know anything about my boy. And you've injected him. Who paid for the injection? Who? Well, we are not there with any health insurance. I never went there with any health insurance. Who even instructed that medicine? Because we're not there for injection. Only for them to declare him dead. I asked the cause of the death of my boy. Because I needed to know. And they said they don't deal with that. But they gather all cause of death and discuss it at the end of the month.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin Ado, is asking cocoa farmers to desist from the use of weedicides and unapproved agrochemicals. He says they contaminate cocoa beans, making them unwholesome for human consumption. Mr. Ado was in the Brong-Ahafo Enclave on a 3-day tour of the Cocoa Health and Extension Zone. Correspondent Anas Abid has more.
The visit by the Chief Executive Officer of the Cocoa Board, Joseph Boahin Ado, to the Techiman area forms part of his 3-day tour of the Brong-Ahafo Cocoa Health and Extension Zone to interact with farmers as well as inspect ongoing productivity enhancement programs. The CEO, who was accompanied by key management and technical team of the Cocoa Board, disclosed to Joy News that the main purpose of the visit is to help boost the productivity of farmers, which would in turn better their lives as farmers.
This year it has rained, but then the flowers are not coming. So we want to come and then, interact with them and also educate the farmers as to what to do. They can recover. What we are looking for is that the farmers should be able to increase productivity from the current 3 to 6 bags. We expect them to do 20 bags per acre. And you can see that, after the message, many of these farmers are showing that, confidence that they will be able to do it.
He was, however, quick to admonish cocoa farmers to desist from using weedicides, which, according to him, causes havoc to the soil as well as affect the quality of Ghana's cocoa beans when used excessively.
In effect, the weedicide destroy the soil and hinder decomposition. So you realize that most of the farms are being destroyed, the soils are being destroyed just because of the use of weedicide. And then the weedicide had 2,4-D. 2,4-D is a chemical which shouldn't appear in any cocoa bean. But when they use weedicide, you know, the cocoa tree is so sensitive that it's able to absorb some of these chemicals, like the 2,4-D. And we have sent cocoa to Japan, which have been rejected in the past, all because of 2,4-D. And it's a weedicide which causes the 2,4-D. That's why we don't want to see any cocoa farm with weedicide.
To the hundreds of farmers who were here to grace the occasion, the meeting with the CEO is a morale booster, and the recent hike in the price of cocoa would go a long way to attract more farmers into cocoa instead of cashew. Nana also Brimpong is a cocoa farmer here in the Techiman area.
See, the price is the determining factor. If it so happens that the cashew price goes higher, far higher than cocoa, definitely people will shift. They will shift to cashew. But now that cocoa is about 1,308 cedis per bag, and cashew is about 400 cedis, sometimes 300 cedis. You know, the attention is rather going to go on cocoa. The price is the determining factor.
Nana also Brimpong appealed to Cocoa Board to introduce cocoa irrigation to the Bono East Enclave to help boost cocoa production across the area.
They have to bring down the cocoa irrigation to this area because our land is good, the climate is not very good, but if they can help the farmers to irrigate, or if they can establish irrigation for the farmers, production will go up.
President of the Techiman Women Cocoa Farmers Association, Elizabeth Ajiwa, wants government to supply enough spraying machines to help deal with the challenge farmers go through during spraying seasons.
Our problems is mostly about the spray machine. We need more. We need government to bring us more spray machines, and at the same time to employ the sprayers. That also can help us.
The Chief Executive Officer also visited some cocoa farms in the Techiman area to have first-hand information on the performance of farmers, particularly those implementing advanced pollination systems. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
Cyber Ghana is a non-profit organization that aims at developing cyber and engineering capability in Ghana. Therefore, Cyber Ghana has organized the Magnet Boot Camp for all 2023 senior high school graduates. David Davo is the director in charge of technology of Cyber Ghana.
The purpose of the boot camp is a continuation of what we started with them when they were in secondary school. And the reason why we started this concept of cybersecurity with them in the secondary school is that we wanted to introduce them to the various career options and opportunities within the cybersecurity field, as well as giving them some of the basic skills that they will need and be able to build on going forward. This is because most people do not have, or cybersecurity is not something that is found or is included in the curriculum that is taught in the schools right from the beginning. But you see that elsewhere, you find that cybersecurity goes, even at the primary school, they start teaching cybersecurity here. So we wanted to start with them from the very young age, as early as possible. Yeah.
He encourages the government to invest in equipment to promote cybersecurity.
What we have to do is for a lot of people or organizations or agencies or the government itself taking the stage or taking the pain to provide the resources that is needed to train enough people with the required skills that we need to be able to fill up some of these gaps. And that is what we have put ourselves to do, and we hope that others will also join so that it will be better, or we can have a wider coverage within the country.
Some beneficiaries were happy the training has provided the requisite skills in cyber security.
So far I've learned a lot. Example, protecting myself, also scanning through disks and other stuffs.
Oh, I've learned how to use OS forensic to analyze and investigate cases, how to retrieve deleted information from pen drives and computer system. And I've also learned how to use brute force to hack a system.
Reporting for Joy News, Colinsia Eifa.
And that, by the way, was our story on 113 students from selected senior high schools in Ghana benefiting from free cybersecurity training in Kumasi. Let's move on now to our next story. And Upper West Regional Coordinator of Global Communities, Martin Sumbo, has reiterated the need for Ghanaians to cultivate the habit of washing their hands using soap. He believes it is an easy, effective and affordable way of preventing disease and saving lives. Martin Sumbo made the observation in Wa to mark the Global Hand Washing Day. Rafiq Salam reports.
Global Hand Washing Day is an annual global advocacy day dedicated to advocating for hand washing with soap as an easy, effective and affordable way to prevent diseases and save lives. Global Hand Washing Day was founded by the Global Hand Washing Partnership and is an opportunity to design, test and replicate creative ways to encourage people to wash their hands with soap at critical times. In the Upper West region, the day was marked with walks around some principal streets in the Wa Township by some duty bearers, including Queen Mothers, teachers, and pupils. Upper West Regional Coordinator of Global Communities, Martin Sumbo, whose outfit spearheaded the organization of the program, enumerated the benefits that would be derived from washing hands using soap, calling on the public to have a change in behavior which will serve as a cost-effective measure.
As a key behavior for disease prevention, proper hand washing can significantly reduce the spread of infectious diseases such as diarrhea, respiratory tract infections, which are major causes of illness, deaths, particularly among children, and low-resource settings. Our settings, we won't consider ourselves a high resource. We still have issues of open defecation within our one municipality and even within our region here. So we see ourselves as low-resource settings. And another key approach of global communities is behavior change. Behavior change. This emphasizes the need for behavior change and the adoption of cost-effective and life-saving behavior, washing hands with soap at critical times.
Upper West Regional Director of the Environmental Health Department, Frida Natu, advised the public to make it a ritual to wash their hands with soap whenever they attend nature's call.
And the serious part is that most of us, when we go to toilets, we don't even clean our anuses well, and by mistake, our hands touch the things. So just set your mind back to the person who shook your hands this morning, assuming the person did not wash his or her hands. That means that you have taken part of the person's feces. How about it? Those who held the mic, did you see anybody using a sanitizer or washing their hands after holding the mic?
Some participants shared their thoughts on the program.
Should take cleanliness very important, because in the Muslim fraternity, before you stand before your Creator to communicate with Him, you clean certain parts of your bodies before you communicate with your Creator. And our Christian brothers and sisters, they also do similar things. So this tells you that cleanliness is very, very important.
You can prepare local tippy-taps so that when you are going to eat, you wash properly with what? Soap under running water. So go and discourage your parents that it is not allowed to eat, to wash your hands in one bowl.
This year's Global Hand Washing Day was held on the theme Clean Hands Are Within Reach. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Let's talk education now. And a 16-year-old student of the Opokuwari School has made a historic stride, qualifying the school to the grand finale of the National Science and Math Quiz. Stephen Apemaba has become the center stage of the school as OWAS seeks to end a 21-year-old NSMQ trophy drought. Emmanuel Brightqueko caught up with the quiz team of the Akatechies and has filed this report.
Prof. John, with the same preamble. An unfertilized egg can develop into either a male or a female. Yes, Asemate.
Amphiparthenogenesis.
Yes, Stephen.
Amphitoki.
Yes.
Stephen Ampemaba, the wonder kid of Opokuwari School, in a full academic showdown mood for his school. He's only 16 years old and the youngest in this year's National Science and Math Quiz.
Go ahead.
A fraction with numerator 322 and denominator 99.
Yes.
I started preparing for quizzes in JHS2, but generally I became interested in NSMQ in JHS3. Opokuwari is sort of my family school because my other brother went to Opokuwari school, but initially I had in JHS2, I remember in JHS2 I wanted to go to Prempeh College. JHS3 I wanted to go to Presec. Then last minute I chose Opokuwari school. So like Opokuwari school wasn't my first choice initially, but last I came here. Joining the quiz team, I was very surprised because I was like, wow, joining the quiz team, I'll be able to meet the 2023 NSMQ contestants. So like, I felt very happy knowing that I was part of the NSMQ team for those who will be representing for 2023 NSMQ.
Over the years, many participants in schools adopt tactical approaches to clinch the coveted trophy. While some schools opt for students pursuing programs outside the sciences due to lack of resources, others field Form 2 science students. Unfortunately, that seemed not to have worked for many schools. The closest a school came was St. Peter's SHS and West Africa SHS when they fielded Form 2 students.
Given the expression or the equation x squared plus...
For Opokuwari School though, the strategy seemed to have worked, but it did not come easy. Coordinator of the quiz team, Richard Mensah, explains the team's series of defeats informed the decision.
We were training our Form 3s all right, preparing them for the nationals, especially when we were kicked out of the regional championship. And it got to a stage where you go for trials, then there will be some disappointments, then you'll be thinking, so what should we do? We put our heads together and we say no. Then why not try Stephen? I asked him whether he would do it. He said yes. So I told him then he should prepare. We are going to give him the chance. So we organized one trial with some 2 schools and introduced him. And then he did so well.
Calculate the beat frequency.
Stephen, who has become the colossus of the Akatechis, led the school to topple their all-time city rivals, Prempeh College. Although the decision came with a mixed reaction from other team members, it is reaping benefits as the school makes their 10th final appearance.
We were not really happy when the decision was made, but as time went on, I saw that the guy was very good and he would help us. So we decided to work hand in hand with him. And indeed, he helped us because at first I even thought maybe he would be substituted, then I would come in, but it was the other way around. He was doing very well, like he was doing well in the riddles, every part. It was all round, so I think the teachers did a good job.
The school's strategy was originally cumbersome, but Stephen believed in his capabilities to pull through.
Initially, I was very pressurized. I didn't know what I could do, but then I felt empowered because with God you can do anything. I felt like I wasn't really prepared because if you look at the gap, some people had 3 years to prepare and you're only in Form 1, you maybe had only just 1 year to prepare. You are going against people who have been preparing their whole life 3 years, and that's what gave me the pressure.
Having lost to Presec Legon 4 times at the final contest, Opokuwari School is optimistic their wonder boy will snatch the trophy in the eminent finale.
Yes.
Nonagon.
You're right.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel. Right quickly.
And that is the note on which we cap off the news this morning. But do stay with us. The news review with yours truly and Afil Money up next. Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to get into the papers this Tuesday morning. And we kickstart by letting you know that Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic is calling. They sponsor this segment and they are offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Now, here's where you can locate them across the length and breadth of the country. Here in Accra at Spentex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Krodumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takradi and Naji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zema. Their call lines, if you care to call, which I think you should, 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, and I have joining me in the studio Afil Money. He is former president of the Ghana Journalists Association. Good morning. You look, as always, fabulous. Is it the same?
Yes, please.
Tailor, your designer?
Yes, Oman.
The young man?
Yeah, young man, Oman.
We'll give Oman his props for always decking you out in fabulous colors.
Thank you.
And
Thank
exquisite tailoring.
Thank you.
Well, here we are. Like I would usually do, I'd like to find out what you've thought about some of the stories that have taken place over the last few weeks, or the last week, actually. There's also Akosombo still on our radar. But I'm curious, for the first time, if not ever, the Ghana Journalists Association is going to have its awards program, and it's going to be held in the day.
On Sunday.
Yes. Yes. And it's not going to be the usual nighttime affair. There are a few changes here and there. What do you think about the new, I wouldn't say seismic shifts, but new things happening in the Ghana Journalists Association?
It's good to innovate. It's good to think outside the box. Many of those who be complaining about the late night events, sometimes the event travel to the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah.
And this,
before you get to realize who was journalist of the year.
That sort of thing. And we tried it once. We did it at 10 o'clock in the morning, and people were complaining. And they came back to us, how on earth can anyone eat dinner in the morning? It's supposed to be a dinner something. Yeah. So we're compelled to go back to the evening, and the complaints were still. And the fact is, it's not within the bounds of possibility to please everybody.
Right.
And this is the first time in the history of the GJ that the event will be held on Sunday.
Yeah.
And in the afternoon.
And at that time of day.
Yeah, 3 p.m. So let's see how it will. And yeah.
Well, I think, it's a weekend. So
it's a weekend.
Not many people actively working.
Yeah.
Though some do now because of virtual work. Yeah. I mean, people still do some stuff on Sunday. And again, the time. Anybody would have probably gone to church or had their time to pray and all of that. So we'll see how
nothing is set in stone.
It balances out. Yes, indeed. Any other story, anything that has caught your attention over the last week that you'd like to briefly share with us before we get into the papers?
The dominant story, this village and its untold hardship, it has inflicted on thousands of people in the Volta, Eastern, and then we are told that in parts of the Bron region, and the partisan
rhetoric, back and forth, banter.
Yes.
And the fake news.
Yeah. So I think this is the time to dial back the escalating remarks, comments, and to scale up efforts to assuage the suffering of the people in the affected areas. And one story, which is bannered in one of the newspapers. The MPP is accusing former President Rawlings of former President Mahama,
right?
Yeah, for putting a partisan slant on the crisis or disaster, and this will not,
I don't know which one you're referencing, though, because there was talk about if it had been in the Ashanti region or something, and apparently it's fake news. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that.
I think even I saw Koku Anyido who posted, and people went after him because it had come to the fore that that news was not credible. In fact, I believe the former president's own page on Twitter, or one of his social media pages, had put it out clearly that it was fake news and that had never been uttered. I just don't know whether that
I think the Daily Guide has captured the story. The Daily Guide has captured the story. Daily Guide, that's the...
Maybe we can get into it, we can cut into it, because it says here, the banner headline, NPP slams Mahama for politicizing Volta floods. So let's see whether it's related to that story. The flag bearer of the opposition, NDC, and his party executives have been slammed for politicizing flood victims' misery by the MPP after they used the issue to criticize the government. Severe flooding has hit some areas in Volta and eastern regions, and towns and villages along the lower Volta enclave affected after a spillage from the Akosombo and Kpong dams. Let me cut to where he is quoted to have said...
to the tail end of the story.
Yes. It is clear that the scope and scale of the flooding of communities along the Volta River is bigger than our crippled economy can bear. I recommend to the government, so this is what is quoted here.
Yeah.
I'll read it to you so that you react. It is clear that the scope and scale of the flooding of communities along the Volta River is bigger than our crippled economy can bear. I recommend to the government to declare a state of emergency in the affected areas. So that's something else I'd like you to reflect on. State of emergency, should we declare that Article 31 and the Emergency Act, from our bilateral and multilateral partners, and request relief assistance from our bilateral and multilateral partners immediately. This is said to have been on Facebook. Let me see whether there are any other quotes. And so responding to that, Mr. Ahiagba, we all know him, he speaks for the MPP, stated that the MPP would not allow the opposition to use ethnocentric remarks to sow discord and instability in the country. It says, quote, the idea the government will stand aloof and have people suffer is something that I cannot fathom. But that was the notion the NDC and its flag bearer was advancing in the Volta region, creating the impression government didn't care about them and it was painful. So this is what is quoted here. Because the other thing I saw, I could pull it up, was something else that I think suggested an ethnic slant, which has been debunked, and I'm yet to see any video or audio evidence that suggests that this was said. But from what is said here, I recommend to the government to declare a state of emergency in the affected areas and request relief assistance from our bilateral and multilateral partners immediately. And then it is clear that the scope and scale of the flooding of communities along the Volta River is bigger than our crippled economy can bear. These are the quotes I see here. And it also says, maybe let me just add, because I want to get all. He pointed out that when the unfortunate incident happened, the NDC was in the Volta region campaigning and telling the people that, quote, because they are averse, the government will not support them. And this I see to be unfortunate. But this statement itself has been debunked. But of course, you know how the politics is in this country. From both sides, the MPP and the NDC. Your reflections?
I think partisanship should not come into play in this disaster at all. And the tendency to refract almost every issue in partisan lenses should be dustbined. If anything, it worsens the plight of the victims. And what the two parties end up in doing is the perpetration of sorrow. They deepen the sorrow of people who are really and who are weeping, gnashing their teeth, and who have lost almost everything they've fought for since they came on earth. So the two parties, please, this is a time to think of how best to mobilize resources, how best to ensure that we find a permanent solution to this crisis. And global warming is a reality now. Whether we like it or not, the script has flipped entirely as far as the weather pattern is concerned. So in all likelihood, the spillage will occur as the rains fall in torrent. So the time has come to think outside the box, to find a lasting solution, long-term solution to what is happening, so that we didn't come back to this crisis year in, year out.
Yesterday, I had a conversation with engineer Abdullahi Mahama Saji, who is with NADMO, and some other stalwarts, Bernard Mona, who has also been on the ground. And, you know, the picture painted, while there are solutions that have been proffered, and while other countries have also, you know, done things with hydro dams and all of that, I just didn't get the feeling that we would find any resolution to this matter anytime soon. That was the feeling I got, because Abdullahi Mahama, while he may not be a dams expert, he's a road building consultant. He put certain ideas forth. And the reality too, if we allow the dam to be breached, that could be disastrous. Entire communities. Some parts of certain regions could go under. The death toll could be staggering. Entire communities could be washed away underneath, like you would see the Volta Lake or the river. Sometimes you would see stilts, you know, stumps, you know, entire, and it's not something we can even fathom. It's not an emergency that I think our country is ready to deal with. We're simply not there. We cannot deal with a disaster like that. But in this instance, something has happened, and if we have to continue with this cycle, you see, we're knee-jerk reacting people. We like for the thing to happen, then, oh, it's not happened in 50 years, so we didn't expect it. Or last year we expected some of this, it didn't happen, so this year, and then it happens. We are so reactionary, and it becomes problematic. I don't know, but I just get the feeling that we're not going to see the end of this anytime soon.
So if you square this against the logic of climate change, it reinforces the need for something more serious. You know, state of emergency, I'm not a technical person, but I think the cause, have been more strident for the declaration of state of emergency. I believe this will give the states the necessary legislative powers to intervene more effectively as far as this disaster is concerned. So I think it should still be on the board for consideration.
I'll just look at what Samuel Koku-Anyedaho posted. He spoke about the president talking about, if it's a question of who votes for me and who doesn't vote for me, then I shouldn't be here because you didn't vote for me, but that is not my concern. And in any event, one day you will vote for me and my party. That's the president. He puts it side by side with what the former president purportedly said, which has been debunked. So I want to just clearly quote it for you. Akufo-Addo does not want to come to the Volta region to inspect the havoc of the spillage. If it were the Ashanti region, he would have rushed there. Our Evers, not human beings too. Our Ashantis, more human than Evers. And that is the quote that has been debunked. And like I said, I am yet to see any video or audio evidence supporting that. So
certainly such comments are toxic, and as media practitioners, we should not amplify them. We should not at all.
Definitely not. Definitely not. While in this case, we are being informed that it is fake, for future purposes, we should, because there are times when they have gone on that trajectory. Our political parties, they have gone on that trajectory in the past. Asantini, Esremuni, this and that. All the nini is not necessary. When you cut that person, will blood flow? Will the blood be red?
Not at all.
It will be same, just as everybody else. But
again,
I guess some people feel more
gatekeeping on the part of the media. Gatekeeping on the part of the media. None of those toxic comments should be allowed to find space in the media. So they should be dustbined. In fact, they belong to the dustbin, and we should ensure that they remain there.
Daniel Coleman says, watching the show live from Ahafo Kenyasi number 2, Jericho. You know, one thing I like about Ghana, you'll find all kinds of places here. You'll find Hong Kong, you'll find Russia, you'll
Jerusalem.
Find Jerusalem. I don't know whether there's not Galilee. I think I may have Jericho, the Galilee, and all of that. You know, I think it's Kaswa Galilee, right? Galilee, yeah. Hey, Ghana. You don't need to travel anywhere. You just need to find Galilee in Ghana.
La Paz.
Jerusalem in Ghana.
La Paz,
from
Bolivia.
Bolivia, yes. Anyway, so let's get into the papers now. Let's start with you. What papers do you have? And share
the Finder and the Daily Statesman and the Economy Times.
Okay. I have the Ghanaian Times, Daily Guide, and Punch newspaper. Over to you.
The Daily Statesman has a story on the front page which announces that the Ghana Water River Authority has set aside 20 million cedis to assuage the suffering of victims of the dam spillage. I think this figure came across at the weekend, and we are told that they've spent 9 million out of the 20 million cedis, and they are still looking at how best to rally to the aid of the flood victims. And we will commend them for. But the fact is that VRA did not anticipate the magnitude of the disaster.
No, they did not.
They did not.
I think they missed something in there because, of course, but you see, it's also about control mechanisms. And if we're not careful, if, like I said, if the dam is breached, even neighboring countries will be affected.
Yeah.
And now we would have, caused a humanitarian disaster or crisis in different parts of the sub-region. But the fact still remains that, yes, they knew. Sometimes, too, it's like Engineer Mahama pointed out to me yesterday, it's about the volumes of water upstream coming down towards the dam, which you cannot technically fully gauge or comprehend, no matter how good your forecast is, which is why maybe empty dams, the tributaries could be channeled to or whatever, could be options. But I want to believe that we would do something like that. But I am almost certain, on the back of flooding every year in Accra, for example, that we'll talk a lot about it. Policymakers and engineers will, this and that, maybe even brilliant proposals will come forth. We may do nothing, and God forbid, it may come again, and we'll start talking about it. That's what doesn't make sense about our country.
Not at all. It's an indictment on our sense of planning, and this is a time to apply science and technology in total. And this disaster can be a blessing in disguise. So it will help us to think outside the box and find a long-term solution. Because as we've said, and it bears repeating, that climate change will induce more spillages, and this will also inflict more damages and suffering on the people. Yeah. So the time has come to find a permanent solution.
Let's get into
other So we have Ghana Water Sewage Corporation, Ghana Water Company Limited. Here they've targeted 203 million cedis as revenue. The managing director of the company, Mr. Clifford Bryman, said the company is expected to generate 203 million cedis as revenue by the end of this year, representing a 65% surge from the 2022 revenue generated. I know Galamsey is a major impedimenta block to the progress of the company in certain areas. Because of Galamsey, they cannot even treat water, let alone distribute. So whilst we commend them for the revenue target, we also need to ensure that we deal surgically with the cancer of Galamsey, and this is beyond them. And even the whole state machinery is struggling to solve this problem. So and the media. So this reinforces the need for the media to always put it on the front burner and set the agenda by agitating for more action to deal surgically with the issue of Galamsey. And the Finder has a story, a major story is on Ghana Water Company posting 904 million losses in 6 months. This and that angle, I've alluded to that they are struggling in certain areas, and certain issues are beyond their control. Galamsey is a dominant one. And so again, it's a call to all stakeholders to help this critical state institution to overcome its challenges. The other important story here, multinationals show little interest to train and equip locals in oil and gas sector. And this is coming from the sector minister, popularly known as NAPO. And
but there are supposed to be laws on that.
Local
right?
content law.
So even when they come, I don't want to mention any MNC's name, but there's supposed to be the transfer of technical know-how, knowledge over time, so that locals can also increase their numbers and their know-how. But you see, you can't do this in other parts of the world. Why? Because the systems work. And if you breach the system, they will crack the whip. Here, the whip is lost. There's nothing to crack. So the sector minister getting up to say they are not, it's like taxes. Celine Dion has a song about, love, tax and everything, and some of those things that are very certain. In other jurisdictions, people would want to flout tax. Anybody would want to dodge tax if they had the way of doing that. Why do they not do it in those jurisdictions? Because when you are caught, the consequences are damaging, and you would end up paying through the nose for it. Just as in this instance, if the mechanisms are in place, you will not breach. But the mechanisms are not in place, so they will find ways of breaching them. It's like preaching to the choir.
Certainly, they said that Ghana is not deficient in laws, but what we lack is the power to implement them. So, and it is sad that even in the area of welding, the percentage of Ghanaians in that sector is minuscule as compared to Nigerians. Yeah. So, with urgent promptitude, we need to reverse the trend. And it's not enough to point out our deficiencies, our lack of action. What is most important is to ensure that Ghanaians capture the commanding height of our oil industry after 16 years of oil discovery in this country.
And after what? How many years of real exploration? From around 2010?
Yeah.
Thereabouts. 2008, 2010, getting into. So we are gradually, another thing, food for thought. We've done close to 15 years of proper oil exploration in our country. And maybe we should also be sitting down and asking ourselves, after 15 years, what has oil done for us? We haven't fallen to the Dutch disease, which is the resource curse that some people will talk about. But then again, you look at what the real boons are of exploring oil. You would have thought that with oil market prices rising on the back of the Russo-Ukrainian war and everything, we could have called some shots internally and said, oh, we'll do this and do that. But we're toothless. We can't do anything. Our oil production is not akin to maybe the Angolas and the Nigerians. But our local fuel, what are we doing with it? That's the question.
But our production levels are significant as compared to others.
I'm just saying that while it's significant, it may not be comparable to Libya. Or Nigeria, or Angola, the big players. Yeah, but we are still big. What are we doing with those resources? And even some of our petroleum revenue, where they should end up per the law. So you see why sometimes it becomes difficult. Like you said, policies are there,
but one area in which our oil resources have been put to most effective is free SHS. Free SHS. But free SHS is one area Ghanaians are benefiting from our oil resources. And experts have been calling for long-term funding for...
And that is the problem.
Yeah.
How it's going to be, its sustainability, which has been brought into question by a number of academics and CSOs and others. We'll just see. I mean, because... policies without sustainability, something to roll them out, which again brings me to parts of the world like Norway. You know, they have some funds for future generations for their oil wealth and all of that. Sometimes you just ask yourself what our planning is for the future. It appears we have even the food of the future we are consuming now. So you ask yourself, because the next generation will come and deal with harsher climate change. They'll come and deal with worse flooding. They may experience earthquakes. They may have world-shifting problems to deal with. Not even may. They will have those to deal with. Our financial status as a country is in a bubble. So you ask yourself, what are we leaving for the next generation.
generation.
Cocoa farms, for example, are going. The South Americans at a point, because of some diseases, I don't know whether it's swollen shoot or whatever, Brazil was once the second largest producer of cocoa. They seeded that position on the back of, they are coming back.
They are coming back.
And do you know what advantage they have?
And maybe China.
Swathes of land, and one farmer can farm vast areas. Here we have small acre, you know, and our productivity levels have dwindled by a lot, partly on the back of galamsey. So you look at the future and you ask yourself, what future are we handing over to that generation?
So the future looks bleak, and it's not a basket case. So it's up to the policymakers, implementers, and all of us to ensure that we secure the future for the present and future generations.
Let me quickly do two papers, and then I'll let you come in with the Economy Times as we wrap. The Ghanaian Times, upstream petroleum sector, Deputy Speaker slams low local input after 10 years of local content law passage. So you see exactly what we're talking about. Local content law passed. A decade
after.
Yet we are talking about low local input. Now who caused them?
We cause them.
Military personnel not withdrawn from MEPE operations. That's according to the Ghana Armed Forces. Naval Captain Labi there speaking. You know, there was talk about their evacuation, and then there was a counter from the Ghana Armed Forces that no, there was some redeployment, but others were still on the ground doing the work. We need to train more specialist doctors in Ghana, Professor Adanu appeals to government. That story on page 3. And 493,400 visually impaired persons lack white cane. White cane. The white cane. Do you know, this story has been, and let's not restrict it, because I think many years ago, the same story came to the fore. And here we are again with these same, I mean, and these are the vulnerable ones in our society.
Who speaks for them? Who advocates for them?
Let me go to page 13 and just quickly do those stories. That will be the only one from the Ghanaian Times. So the rector of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons, Professor Richard Adanu, has appealed to government for support in its quest to double the training of specialist doctors for the country. According to him, though the rate of production of specialists in the country has seen much improvement following the establishment of the college 20 years ago, the numbers did not meet the needs or requirements of the country. Quote, when we look at the numbers, one of the reasons the college was set up was because of the slow production of medical specialists in the country. And over the past 20 years, the rate of production is much better than it was when the college was set up. So in that sense, the college has been successful. However, if you look at the number of specialists in relation to our population, we are still not hitting the mark that we need to. And this is the issue, especially with a lot of specialist doctors. I have a friend, specialist. She's left the country. And there are many others like her. UK, US, Australia, Canada. The other one is the 493,000. That is 40% of Ghana's visually impaired population who do not own a white cane, thereby inhibiting their mobility and social inclusion. And statistics from the 2021 census indicate that 1.2 million out of the 30.8 million population have varying degrees of visual impairment, from total blindness to slight visual impairment. This is the situation. I have a friend, thankfully, Nkrumah. I was speaking with him recently. He was called to the bar recently. He's visually impaired. I remember when he had to get into Makola, and some of the things I had to personally do. We support these people, and when they get to that point, it is brilliant because they can imagine if he didn't even have a white cane. And sometimes, I remember in law school at Legon, he would have a friend, a colleague, holding him and bringing him. But we can do better. We can.
We can, certainly, yes. So Nkrumah should serve as a beacon of hope for people in such situations.
The Daily Guide, I think I've done the major story there. NPP slams Mahama for politicizing Volta floods and debunks the fake news aspect of it. There's court directs OSP to respond to Bisu's objection. I'm talking about Charles Bisu, formerly of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. And First Guy Group storms MEPE with goodies and insurance. Any other stories to wrap?
There's a story by Economy Times quoting the Bank of Ghana as reporting that availability of jobs in the country has risen slightly in August 2023. The figures they quoted in total are 2,775 job adverts as compared to 2,467 for the same period in 2022. Our prayer is simply this: this should crystallize into availability of jobs for the seeming unemployed in this country. We are told it's a time bomb waiting to explode. We should always bear a lodge at the back of our minds that the youth are a preponderant force which can make or make this country. So
by 2050, it is said that our youthful population will be far above 50%.
Sure.
What are we preparing for them by way of jobs, by way of a future?
So we should sharpen our focus on their needs in order to save this country from explosion and implosion.
Afel Money, thank you as always for joining us.
It's a huge pleasure.
Making this so enjoyable, animating it for us. We're very grateful for your time, sir.
Welcome.
Afel Money is former president of the Ghana Journalists Association. He joined us for this conversation. For all of you who joined the conversation today, we're grateful to you for making the time to be with us every morning. For those of you celebrating, I beg your pardon, celebrating anything today, it could be an anniversary, special day. It could be a birthday. If it's your birthday, happy birthday to you out there. If it's a special anniversary you're celebrating, well, enjoy the day and make the most of it. Life is crucial. Don't take it for granted. We'll end with something on health. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, as always, helping us bring you the segment. And here's what they have to say to you. If you're a man, you've not checked your prostate in a while, especially if you're 30 and above. Nowadays, it's not 50 and above. People under even 30 are coming up with prostate complications. Just make your way to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic for free screening. If you're a woman and you're concerned about your fertility, or you've had issues, or you're not even sure what's happening as far as your fertility is concerned, make your way to Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic and they'll screen you for free, gratis. Here's where you can locate them. In the crowd. They are at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade and Naji Estates is where you can find them. Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siaman Zama. Their call lines 0244 867068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But let's talk sports now. A whole lot in that world. Coming up next with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. Do stay.
Everyone, it is a Tuesday. It is the UEFA Champions League football day where the biggest European clubs return to action tonight. And my colleagues, George Ade Jr. and Gary Alsmith, will bring you commentary from Old Trafford, where Manchester United will come out against Copenhagen. But before we share with you the fixtures of the UEFA Champions League for tonight, let's take a look at the highlights of the Ghana Premier League match involving Bibiani Gold Stars and Heart of Lions, which took place at the Dance Park in Bibiani. That game ended 2-2 with former Ashanti Gold midfielder Apia McCarthy scoring a screamer as his side walked away with a point.
Prince Kwabna. They had to clear the very, very last minute out of Lions. Prince Kwabna. Cross was long, but kept in play by Alex Asso. Good play. Now they're trying to cut through. Odai brought down. Here comes the free kick. Drilled it. Goalkeeper dropped the ball in front of Alex Asso. He registers his first goal of the Ghana Premier League for Bibiani Gold Stars.
Always talk about this man. Delivery from Apia McCarthy. Just look at that one. Perfect one. It goes through the wall. The save was made by goalkeeper Thomas Osai. He's unable to make a firm catch, and Alex Asso, right place, right time to pounce onto that ball, attacks the rebound, and it's an easy finish for Alex Asso.
Can he bend it around the wall? He does! Oh! Easy does it! He knew exactly what he was doing. Picked his spot, went round the wall, and he's writing his name in glory. He did it at Ashanti Gold, and he's brought that quality to Bibiani Gold Stars. Look at that. Look at that one. Apia McCarthy, brilliant. And he leaves goalkeeper Vincent Anani no chance task now. He did it against Real Tamale United, Prince. And now another free kick goal from McCarthy. Now he's deepening the walls of Enim and Co as they come forward for Heart of Lions. Let's see whether they can take some advantages and opportunities there. The ball is crossed into the 18-yard box. It's an opportunity to get back into the game. Oh! But this should be it! Eventually, Heart of Lions get the ball into the net for the very first.
Forward-thinking players of Tando Heart of Lions, they know definitely they have to score. That delivery from Adenim Boateng, good one, good save by goalkeeper Yao Ose, but the rebound.
Curled in nicely and drilled in. Yao went down. And then a quick reaction from Heart of Lions. They're back in the game. But at the start of the game, we did say that Heart of Lions are the draw.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can see from the face of Yaose, he let the team down.
Heart of Lions will say thank you very much. Agbenyaga Ngo can't go too far because Julian Nunu has brought proceedings.
Now let's hear from the coaches of the two teams, Michael Ose and Abdul Fattah, who has been speaking about the draw against Bibiani Gold Stars. He's excited to have gotten a point against Bibiani Gold Stars, whereas Michael Ose is a disappointed man.
Well, knowing the kind of venue I'm picking this 1 point, I think I must say I'm satisfied. At least, like I said earlier, it's better than coming to lose. So, of course, I'm very satisfied with the performance of my boys this evening.
So far in 5 games this season, you are unbeaten and you are winless. How do you describe this outcome after your first 5 games into the league?
Well, as a new entrant, of course, we know how the league goes for all new entrants, and we're still looking for our win. Of course, like I already mentioned in the first interview, that we played so well in most of our games, but it's just that the scoring is sometimes the challenge we have. But this evening, you can see that we utilized at least 2 of our chances that gave us at least a point. We could have gone without a point, but at least scoring today tells me that it is coming, of course, and I'm sure we'll be winning matches to come.
In the second half, you took off your starting goalkeeper. Was it a tactical change or something else?
Well, I think every change that a coach will be doing in the game, of course, is the tactics. Looking at the demeanor of my goalkeeper after the first half, I think that he was down, and of course, they are here with they say their colleagues, because anytime he cannot continue, of course, someone must come in to continue. So we observed and we realized that the one we brought is equally a good goalkeeper, which I think he came in and delivered.
In terms of the strategy of your team, you defended for majority of the first half, but anytime your team moves forward, you created danger against the home team. Why do you not attack often in your games, especially this one?
Well, like I said, watching Bibiani in most of their matches, they are well experienced side, and of course when you are playing them, you must deploy tactics that way at least you can be able to hold them. So in the first half, I think we came out with that tactics, and after going down by 1-0, I think that we needed to also open and make sure we equalize the goals, and of course it worked. So we didn't just come to play defensive game, but we came with a mind of also at least winning or getting the point at the end of the game, which I think we got it.
Yeah, actually it was a very, very difficult game. Let me credit the opponent. I think they were very tactical, disciplined. It was a game that we wanted to win at all costs. And then we got the first 2 goals. And then I think defensively and then tactically we couldn't defend very good. And then they were able to equalize the 2 goals. It's very, very unfortunate game, but we go back to the drawing board and then make sure we better our game next game.
In the 13th minute of the game in the first half, you made a change. You took out Ampim Da Costa to bring Richmond Opoku. What idea was behind this early substitution?
Yeah, I think Da Costa got injured, and then when Menu also came, he brings stability at the back. I was impressed of Menu's change, but all the same, it was because of injury that we did that change.
Now we can take a look at the Ghana Premier League table after March Day 6, and Instructional, they are seated at the top of the table with 10 points, and then we have Samatex, they have got 10 as well. So as many as 4 teams have got 10 points so far in the Ghana Premier League after 6 matches played so far. Then we have about 6 teams. Three teams have got 9, and then 3 teams have got 8 points. In Suatruman, they have got an outstanding game to play. Heart of Lions also have an outstanding game to play. Let's take a look at the second half of the Premier League table. Accra House of Oak too, they've got an outstanding game, and then Mediama, I said they have got 2 outstanding games to play. So Brekum Chelsea, they've got 7 points. Bechem United have got 7. They are 12. Kaiola United have got 6 points. 13th. Heart of Lions have got 5. Their outstanding game against Accra House of Oak was that game had to be postponed because of the Akosombo Dam spillage in the Volta region. And Nations FC, they've got 5 points. They also have an outstanding game. And then Accra Lions, 5 points. And then Mediama SC rooted at the bottom of the Premier League table, and they have got 4 points so far in the Ghana Premier League. Let's hear from Say Mubarak, who is the Communications Director of Kaiola United. He says that the pockets of violence that were witnessed in the Ghana Premier League fixture between Tanobo Fuakwa and that of Kaiola United is due to the fact that security men that were at the scene were not enough.
For now, the police have not conducted any investigation whatsoever in getting the perpetrators of what the act yesterday at the Aliu Mama Sports Stadium. There were a lot of chairs that were vandalized as a result of the anger, some of the fans had because of officiating. I must say, I'm a bit surprised, to hear and on social media about the fact that Bofakwa thought or had issues with the fans. The anger of the fans were not directed to Bofakwa. And with the police protection, it was even an official and some members of the home team that tipped the police that where the fans were gathered, waiting for the referees to come out of their dressing room, that is the same place Bofakwa were going to actually take as a route to bars or to get to their bars before they get out of the stadium. And so there was this tip that was given to the police that why don't we get a different route? Because if the Bofu team is coming out, they may encounter, these fans who are already angry at the gate, outside waiting for the referee. And so that was the incident that happened. They had to take them to a different place. And even by then, the bars of Bofu Akwatano had already left the premises of the Aliu Mahama Sports Stadium. So there was no way, the police could have done other than to, bus them from the stadium with their own bus to where they park their bus for them to, get to Sunyano or wherever they were going. So we are surprised that, the story is that they were beaten by fans here in Tamale. That is not the situation. In fact, the fans had directed their anger at the officials because they thought that some decisions actually went against the home team that could have, resulted in goals for the home team. At the end of the day, if there is any sanctions coming from the FA, it is the responsibility of the club and its officials to ensure that whether it is a fine or whatever punishment it can, the fans definitely do not contribute to this. But sometimes it's difficult to even control. If we don't have enough, security at the venue, sometimes it causes a lot of problems for even the home fans and officials who understand the game to control those who are angry, because they always outwit the numbers that understand football. And so sometimes it's not that people don't talk about this. We do, but the fact is that it is always very difficult for us to control the crowd who always outnumber us.
Association, they have released a statement saying that clubs have been warned to ensure that security at match venue is at its peak because they are not going to countenance any hooliganism in this year's competition. There were pockets of violence in many Ghana Premier League centres, including the Aliyu Mahmoud Sports Stadium, the Dr. Kwame Chase Sports Complex, as well as that of the Nana Ajiman Bedu, the second stadium in Doma, as well as Dewu. So the Ghana Football Association is warning its members that if they allow hooliganism to take place at their various match centres, there are going to be serious sanctions. They have also called on officials of their members to educate their supporters on the rules and regulations, as well as the disciplinary codes governing Ghana Premier League football. And they are also saying that should fans have issues, they should channel their grievances to their officials so that their officials can go through the official process of having their issues addressed. Now, let's take a look at the fixtures for tonight in the UEFA Champions League as Manchester United host Copenhagen. Our live game on Joy 99.7 with commentary from my colleagues Georgia the Junior and Gary Al-Sumait. And also on Wednesday, we're going to be at Poquitos, where we'll bring you the UEFA Champions League action more. So let's take a look at the fixtures for tonight. Manchester United versus Copenhagen, Galatasaray versus Bayern Munich, Inter Milan versus Salzburg, Benfica versus Real Sociedad, Braga versus Real Madrid, Lyon versus PSV, Manchester United versus Copenhagen, Sevilla versus Arsenal, and Union Berlin will play Napoli. So these are the fixtures for UEFA Champions League football tonight. And also don't forget, the African Football League also continues today with the return fixture involving Al Ahly versus Simba. And that game is going to be live on Joy Prime. We'll be showing you that game live on Joy Prime. And do not forget to the African League. It's a special competition that has a prize money of about $14.4 million. And 8 teams are competing for the ultimate prize. We have the likes of Al Ahly, TP Mazembe, Mamelodi Sundowns, Petro Luanda, Esperance, and Wydad Casablanca, all competing for that ultimate prize of $14.4 million. So watch the African Football League, which comes with loads of skills and loads of passion for African football. And the competition started on October 20 and it will end on November 11. This is our wrap up AM Sports here with me, Muftawo Nabila Abdullah. We appreciate your time.
This is the AM show. Welcome back. Now we head to the Volta region and parts of other regions affected by the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. Today we're focusing, however, on how this has impacted education among those who have been hardest hit. Schools have been submerged, inundated with water, and education has come to a standstill in some of these communities. We ask, what is the way forward? And how can we reintegrate those affected back into our educational system? Well, this morning we have a conversation with Divine Pe. He is Senior Programs Manager, Africa Education Watch. He joins the conversation. Don't you forget, as part of this conversation as well, we're also going to be looking at yesterday's rain and what the impact has been in your community. But let's start with Divine Pe on this beat. Good morning, Divine.
Morning.
It's good to have you join the conversation. But before we veer into the educational sector, the impact of all of this on education and the way forward, I'd like to pick your brains on what you make of everything that has happened. The spillage of the dam, which will continue, the measures that have been adopted, and there's also been talk about a state of emergency. I'm just asking for your layman's opinion on what has been happening so far.
All right, thank you, and good morning to your viewers. Generally, I think what has happened there is very unfortunate, and I think we shouldn't have been here. We could have forestalled this and put measures in place before carrying out the spillage. Very unfortunate. Last year, I understand the VRA also intended carrying out spillage, but it didn't happen. So this year, when they even announced, that people probably took it on a lighter note. So that could also explain the magnitude of the impact that we are having. Otherwise, people would have maybe packed some of their few things and then some of them evacuated before the spillage probably catch up with them. But I think that this should be an indication for us to put measures in place such that in the future we do not forestall this. I have been hearing engineers speaking on this. They believe that this is an engineering failure. I'm not an engineer, but if indeed it is, I just believe that they can bring solutions on board so that in the future we do not have this happening. But I just also want to commend corporate Ghana and the media, how they are mobilizing resources to assist the affected individuals. It's very encouraging. I think this is the spirit of Ghanaians, always been there for people when they are in need. I think it's very, very humbling to see how people are coming on board to help. And then we will encourage that. And as we mentioned in our press release, I think one of the areas that the people, especially the pupils, the learners, need support is the learning materials. We've seen that most of the donations are in the areas of food, medicine, mattresses, and others. We so far not seen the area of learning materials being brought on board. We will encourage corporate Ghana that as part of their resource mobilization and support, they include the learning materials for children that are at home.
All right, and it's you've already veered into that conversation when it comes to education. But how much have you gathered so far in terms of what this has meant for those people in the catchment areas, of course, all parts of the Tong area, north, central, south, and other communities stretching, even beyond that catchment area, spilling over into different regions? What have you gathered in terms of the impact this has had on education there?
All right, so far our monitoring has revealed that the impact when it comes to education being interrupted is actually in three communities, i.e. North Tong, South Tong, and then through East. Other neighboring districts, although the situation is also in their jurisdiction. When it comes to education, school hasn't been closed down, but these three districts, school has been closed down because most of them, their classrooms are actually measured under water, and then also some of them, their classrooms will have to be used as safe haven. So when it comes to these three district education is totally disrupted, and we are talking about over 97,000 people that have been affected.
In fact, that is the case. Divine, just hold for me. Pardon me, my apologies for doing this, but let me also bring in the General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa. The reason I'm interjecting is because he is on the ground currently with the team assessing what we are talking about. So, Divine, with your permission, I'll quickly do that. Mr. Musa, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Morning to all your listeners and all the panel members.
It's really good to have you. Paint a picture for us. Where exactly do you find yourself currently, and what is the state of what you're witnessing? What are you seeing now? Let's start from there.
Okay. I am currently at Mepe, waiting for the entire team to come, particularly the officers on the ground who went through the work initially so that we could start the movement. So we are currently at Mepe, waiting for the team to join us. So in the next 10 to 15 minutes, they will come and then we will start. So maybe in 2 hours time, I would have gone around and I can give you what I have personally seen. But we are yet to move into the whether it's the river or whatever we call it, the physics side and all that.
Right. Is this a NAT team that is out there? And why has this even become necessary for you to go on ground and assess the situation?
Yes, we are talking this a national issue. And Our future is at stake in this particular matter. We cannot take it for granted at this particular time. Remember, we have indicated in the Sustainable Development Report that leave no one behind. And so we cannot afford at this particular time to leave others. As we speak now, all the factors of production are in the water. Land is in the water, capital is in the water, and you're talking about labor too in the water. The people now are fighting about survival. So to the extent that they are fighting about survival, including all the professionals, that they are to deliver services to our people, we cannot be unconcerned and leave them alone. Whatever we can do to actually bring everybody on board and bring them, our people, out of that particular situation ought to be done. And that is why it's a national issue. And we initially even have called for a state of emergency to be declared, as provided for in Article 31 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, so that we'll be able to mobilize enough resources to bring our people out of the situation they found themselves in. So it is quite a very difficult time, a difficult moment for our brothers and sisters, because of all their investments is down the drain, and like I've indicated, all the factors of production currently in the water, and we need to see how best we can bring them out.
I know you have to get running, but before you take leave of us, so at the end of this tour that you're embarking on to assess the situation, what are you hoping can be brought to bear? I've been interacting with Divine Pe of Africa Education Watch, for example, and he's made mention of the fact that while there have been a lot of donations from corporate Ghana, among others, we've not seen anybody, and pardon me if I'm wrong, donating textbooks and stuff, learning materials, to be specific. That's what he said. So what are you hoping to achieve at the end of this, and will that inform what you reach out for as far as those communities are concerned?
No, so we are here for two main reasons. The first one is to make donations to the people, and particularly the teachers here. This is targeted donation that we want to make, because we need to first organize the teachers, bring them to the best shape of their mind, because as we speak now, they've lost everything. Like I indicated, they've lost their land, they've lost all their investment, capital, everything is gone. They are now basically fighting for survival. And so we are here to make some donation to the teachers, and after that one, there will going to be another round of meetings. That one specifically as to how we'll be able to get the education done in this time of emergency. Remember, education cannot wait, even though we have a state of a very difficult situation on our end. Education can no longer wait, because the children are growing, and if we go to the other areas of our country, the children then are learning. So we cannot say that the children in the lower Busa and other surrounding environments to wait until it's over. We cannot say that. So whatever resources that can be deployed is certainly be done. Then remember, we need our teachers to get this thing done. So that after this particular donation, there will be another round of meetings, engage them to see how best we'll be able to take the rest of the issues. I remember during the time of COVID, same was done. We need to actually discuss either modalities on how the bomb threats will come back to school and all that. So all these things will be on the table, because we don't have the infrastructure where we can say that we want to do blended kind of learning, where we say that we will engage them online and all that. And let me say this thing finally. Look, this will always bring to the fore that we need more funding and more investment in education. Because if that is not taken, the poor person will always become poorer. What has happened? Let you take the group of people who are involved. It's the poor. Those people who are behind the poverty line, they are the people involved in this thing. And majority of them will go below the poverty line again because of the current circumstances, like I've told you. All the investment is gone down the drain. It will take them years for them to recover. Years. See whether or not they'll be able to recover is going to be another thing. And so, like I have said, we will make our donation today. They have another round of meetings and see how best education is able to, and we can deliver education in this time of emergency. Also taking into consideration the support that government will take on board, we also have to get it done.
Well, Mr. Musa, we wish you the best on this tour, and when you're done, we'll try to connect with you as well to find out what it is that you have gathered by way of information, especially bordering on education. Thomas Musa is General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. Coming back to you, Divine, thank you so much for allowing me to cross over. What are your reactions, having listened to Thomas Musa, before we continue from where we left off?
Yeah, I'm glad about what Thomas and the team are doing around there for teachers. I believe teachers equally need the support in this trying time, especially when we are calling that we need to keep education going. Teachers will need to be in the best frame of mind before they can even support their students in any way that they can. So by being there for them, the NAG being there for them, this is encouraging. And then also be on the ground to assess the situation, to understand the magnitude of the impact and able to help the pupils as well. It's very encouraging. So I encourage other teacher unions, NAGRAT and the CCT, to also be on board. So very grateful to NAGRAT about the steps they are also taking. At EduWatch, we are also putting ourselves together and mobilizing resources, especially when it comes to the area of learning materials, so that in the coming days we can also go to the communities to lend our support.
Now, in terms of the shortage of learning materials, or at least because we know that the children who would have been in school, well, their schools are submerged currently, and it doesn't mean their learning must come to an abrupt stop. There must be some mechanisms. I have not heard of any in terms of whatever groupings trying to teach these children. From that standpoint, what is it that Africa Education Watch or Divine Pe would like to see done in the immediate term?
All right, thank you. You are right that education needs not to be on hold because we are in this crisis. And even in terms of crisis, just like food and health services are important, education is also an integral part of humanitarian response. So it's very important that we get our education going. It will have to start with assessing the impact on education. Of course, so far, by crude analysis, we know that classrooms are underwater. Teachers' homes are also impacted, so they may not be in the best frame of mind to help the learning. But when we want to move away from the classrooms, always we can identify safe lands, highlands that people can all the time gather. I saw videos or pictures from your end of a GSS or an SHS graduate that is mobilizing the people in that community and giving them some sort of assistance in terms of teaching and learning. Those are sort of things that we can encourage. It may not necessarily have to be that we want to get the student going to run a normal school calendar, like going at 8 a.m. and coming back at 3 p.m. No, it may not be like that. But even if it have to be being under trip, when then having some assistance within some short period, 4 hours, it's okay. Because not just because of their learning, but also because of their psychological well-being. In times like this, leaving them unattended to can actually impact their psychological well-being. So it's very important that we ensure that they continue to see their colleagues, their classmates, and then also continue to receive some form of learning, especially in the areas of literacy and numeracy. So it may not necessarily have to be that we get the teachers doing that, as Gertrude, that as teachers Gertrude has demonstrated. We can get community members that can be of help to provide some sort of assistance to these younger ones in the community. It will be very, very encouraging. And then also GES Ministry of Education can lend support to some of these people by providing them with their learning materials. The corporate Ghana can also supply learning materials that they can be using. But beyond that, we used some form of learning materials during the COVID time, where we deployed some facilities like pre-recorded lessons on some devices. They were being played on regional radio networks and other channels. I think we can still deploy such devices. We have private radio stations that are working in such communities that we can still appeal to them with some of these recorded lessons that maybe some few hours of their time, they can dedicate that to play some of the lessons and give the students as part of the resources that they are receiving some solar-powered radio that they can tune in also to have this virtual form of learning. That will also help. So in terms of emergencies, we always have a way of keeping student learning in one way or the other. So CENLOS, the National Distance Learning and Open Schooling, as an agency of the Ministry of Education, they have some of these devices that we can follow them so that they can equally deploy.
And you spoke initially about not leaving anyone behind. I believe you made mention of that. But having also mentioned the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education, do you feel in this instance that they have done enough? It's been over a week. It's been about 2 weeks and counting since this incident. Have they done enough from where you sit in terms of extending some help to the learners, the pupils, the children in these affected communities?
I heard the Ministry of DS intending to visit the community somewhere last week. I don't know if that has happened, but I feel 2 weeks or getting to the third week, I strongly believe they should have been on the ground. If they haven't done so already, they should have already assessed the impact of the flooding on education. But you know, if you do not have a plan in place that provides you with the guidance as to how to proceed with education during an emergency, it becomes so difficult. You know, that's why during COVID-19 2020, we asked that the ministry adopts education in emergency plans, so that when we get to instances of crisis or emergency, that particular plan can give us some guidance as to how to carry on education. But since 2020 to date, we have seen little progress in operationalizing that particular plan. It's not yet even finalized yet before we talk of it being operationalized. It's very important that we speed up processes to finalize that particular education in emergency plan and then get it operationalized. So that when we get into instances like this, we know that there's a document that we can quickly fall on and we know what to do, what other stakeholders can do in terms of keeping education running during an emergency or crisis. Because even beyond the flooding, we know that in some parts of Ghana, we have instances of armed conflict that can easily cause schools to close down. When it comes to instances like that, what needs to be done? The guidance would have to, or the plan would have to give us the guidance as to what to do. So I strongly believe if they are able to speed up process to finalize that particular plan, when we get to instances like this, they will already know what they would have been doing. They will not to go back to assess the situation to see what they need to do. They already have a master plan in place, and then they will just have follow through. So it's very important. I think this particular occurrence is also a point for us to again remind them that they need to speed up in finalizing that particular education and emergency plan, and then also get it operationalized.
Let me also rope in, as far as this conversation is concerned, Dr. Peter Pate-Anti of the Institute for Educational Studies. Dr. Anti, a very good morning to you. Hello, Doc. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this wet Tuesday morning as we contemplate what is happening in some parts of our country on the back of the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. We're talking education, and it's all about what has happened and how it's affecting the educational structures. We have schools that are literally underwater, and now we're looking at what the way forward should be. But from what you've seen so far, reactions from the Ghana Education Service, the Ministry of Education, and people of goodwill, what is your reading of the educational impact this will have on those pupils, those students, and what maybe we could be doing better as of now?
Okay, good morning once again, and thank you for having me. I need to state that it's unfortunate that our friends and family in the Volta region are going through this. I'm told that the thing is spreading to other places in Ghana, and it's quite disheartening that in this time and age, people would have to suffer such an artificial disaster, which I think could have been avoided. Now, of course, if you look at the impact of the spillage, you would note that there's no way that the education can continue in any of the areas, because I see houses submerged in water, sometimes even above the roof. So there's no way that anybody can move to school. So what normally is done is that in countries where there are planned systems, there is a quick deploy of emergency education in these areas. And unfortunately, we do not have that in our country. Our system actually is not designed to support the vulnerable and the marginalized. And I need to make this point. Our educational system is not designed to support the vulnerable and the marginalized. You see, over months, Boko had this experience where, because of the war, schools were closed down, teachers were leaving town, and nothing was done. So the issue went down a little before such activities education activities were restored. So in emergency situations, there is no plan in place to ensure that we will be able to deploy education to the marginalized and the vulnerable in these places. And that is what we are experiencing in Volta region again, just as happened in Boko. So the Ghana Education Service can show goodwill. The Ministry of Education might talk about what they want to do. But on paper, there is no plan designed that in case of emergencies like this in areas, these are the steps that would be taken by the Ministry of Education, by the Ghana Education Service, by the various agencies to ensure that we will continue to deploy education to these people. Quickly, how are these people gathered? Where have they been placed? I was thinking that by this time, the mobile vans system of the Ghana Library Service would have been at where these people they are being housed or they are being kept. The places that they are keeping them. I was thinking that by this time, that library mobile system that have been created should have moved in there to ensure that some sort of reading and numeracy work is going on. I was thinking that by this time, the National Service Secretariat would have deployed people to the places where these people are being housed to ensure that they offer some kind of, even if it is a 1 hour tutorial, 1 hour academic work for the kids in that area. I would have been thinking that by this time, the Ghana Education Service would have gathered its teachers in that area and would have given them specific guidelines to meet these kids, these children at this time, to engage them maybe 2 hours under some shed or under some structure. I was thinking that by this time, the Ministry of Education would have had a plan in place, rolling out online, radio, television, specifically targeted to these places. It could be a video van with playing videos of a particular lesson where these kids would be gathered. And they could have engaged in the Ghana Television Service or these cinema vans that we have around, where the kids can be gathered, if not during the day, even in the night, from, let's say, 4 to 6, where this will be shown on a broad screen and lessons will be taught to kids. These are what we do in emergency situations. Unfortunately, we don't have that plan. All that you will hear and all that you will see would be just talk, promises, and that is it.
Response so far from the educational authorities and generally what has been brought to bear as far as education is concerned. Even while we commend the different groups that have contributed, learning materials are in short supply. Are you disappointed? Yes, because we just came out from COVID. We learned a lot about how to deploy education in situations like where we cannot have face-to-face contact. We just came out from COVID, where we have gathered experience in how to deploy to ensure that no child will be left behind in terms of the delivery of education. So in such situations, you have to also prioritize the area and provide the needed resources to ensure that you are able to deliver education.
education to them. That is why we talk about priorities. So in this case, you have something that is urgent, that you need to attend to. You block all other things you are doing, and you focus to ensure that education is delivered to these people, including giving them the needed resources that they need to be able to do that. You block all avenues in terms of where you deploy your resources, and ensure that your teachers are safe and they will be in the position psychologically, mentally, to also assist the kids in the delivery of education. That is not what is being done. We're still stuck in our old ways of doing things. We don't know how to prioritize. We don't know what is an emergency situation. And that is why we are seeing this. You see that most of the things that, as you said, most of the things that are going are coming from the NGOs. And I listened to the MP who was talking about gathering some of the volunteers to start teaching the kids in the areas where they are being kept. That is not how a planned educational system works. And it's unfortunate. We have to say it as it is. We don't have a plan for emergency situations. I've cited Boko. This is another example. And if we are not careful, God forbid, but if we have another emergency situation like this, there's no plan. We will gather here and then we will talk and nothing will be done. It will just be promises, camera shows, pictures, and that is all that it is.
Well, a pretty stark situation we have to deal with. I know the Ghana National Association of Teachers is on the ground. We just interacted with Thomas Musa, who is the General Secretary. They are also assessing the situation this morning. But gentlemen, mapping the way forward, what if both of you are from education-related institutions, groups, if you could put together a roadmap, and you started on that trajectory, Dr. Anti, if you could put together a roadmap for government, for the Ministry of Education. I know they have their technocrats and all of that, but sometimes it takes someone looking on to proffer certain pertinent advice. I'll start with you, Divine. What would be that roadmap for you to ensure that these students, these pupils, in fact, don't get left behind?
You. First of all, again, I'll reiterate the point that we need to get our education and emergency plan in place. It is very, very important. As I mentioned, and as Gipsy also, Peter also mentioned, we do not have any plan that is to provide a guideline that when we are in a situation like this, this is what we are going to do when education is interrupted. We do not have anything like that. So we need to get that. I know they have started a process of developing that plan. They need to finalize that and get it operationalized, so that when we have armed conflicts, as the Boku case Peter is mentioning, and when we have flood, as we are seeing now, and then there's a health emergency or crisis like COVID-19, we know how to proceed with education. But when it comes to the specific context of what is happening in the Volta region and others surrounding the region, it's very important that, again, the team gets to the ground, Ministry of Education, Ghana Education Service, they get to the ground and quickly assess the situation and know what they need to do. Peter rightly mentioned the need for us to also to deploy the van, the information van of the Ghana Library Authority. That's a brilliant idea that we also need to take into consideration and also quickly deploy. I also mentioned that during the COVID time, we have pre-recorded learning content done by the sendlers. We can still deploy that the learners can be using while they are at home. But very importantly, we also have to get learning materials in the hands of these pupils, that while they are at home, they themselves can be flipping through pages of books, just to ensure that they keep their brains engaged. But again, we also need to look at the teachers. What support do they need, so that quickly, if they can also come back to support the learners, those that are still living in the community or surrounding areas, what support can they receive at this particular time? We are seeing NAT doing their very best for them. What support can they receive from the CES or the Ministry of Education, so that they can also lend some sort of support for this particular learners? It is important for the assemblies also to begin to look for safe places that learners can all gather for some of these tuition if teachers are in place or community members are ready to support in terms of teaching and learning. It's very important. And if the Ministry of Education, from GES, they are not yet visited a place to ascertain the impact and what they need to do. For us, we feel it's very late. They need to quickly get there, assess the situation, the number of people that are impacted. Of course, we put the number at over 97,000. They have been affected, so that they know what to do for these particular people in this trying time.
For you, Dr. Anti, what would be the roadmap? What would be the way forward?
So I think that the first thing that we need to do is to admit that there need to be a broader consultation in terms of how we will be able to strategize in situations like this. You see, sometimes we keep working with the relevant stakeholders, but when you push and you don't get the needed feedback, that is the best that you can do, because you don't have the power to implement some of the points that you would want to put across. So we'll continue to engage relevant stakeholders. We'll continue to put these ideas across. We'll continue to share papers with them, and we hope that they will be able to pick the needed information from these documents that are constantly made available to them, and take the needed steps to ensure that we don't experience some of these things again. I think that the way forward now is to immediately deploy all the needed resources to the places that are being that are going through these challenges. I think that is the immediate thing that needs to be done. NADMO had been there, so they would have an idea of how things are going in them. The ministry should liaise with NADMO. NAT is on the ground. The ministry should liaise with NAT, and all the other stakeholders have an idea, a broad idea of what is actually on the ground, and then deploy the resources that they have to ensure that these kids get some kind of education. I've said that they can deploy the vans, gather the kids around the van between 4 to 6 p.m. each day, and then they play certain lessons to them. I think that would be an immediate solution to the challenge, whilst the MP and the others gather the volunteers to also engage these kids. And also they should deploy the relevant materials. But for the long term, we need to have a plan. We need to have a plan that kicks in as soon as there is an emergency situation. That is what we need to do. And it's not just putting these things on paper. It should also be about implementing it to the latter. And I hope that the minister would champion this. This could be one of the biggest legacies that he would ever leave, if he is able to champion this and ensure that we have a plan, a policy of delivering education during an emergency situation like this, like Boko, and maybe in future occurrences.
Well, gentlemen, we'll have to draw the curtains on the conversation here, but we're grateful that you took the time to join us and shared your wealth of knowledge with us. You just heard there Dr. Peter Pate Anti. He is with the Institute for Education Studies. He joined the conversation. We also had joining the conversation, who has been with us, Divine Kwek, Programs Manager, Africa Education Watch. Well, stay with us, because on the second leg of this conversation, we're also going to be exploring the rain, the heavy rain in different parts of the country. Yesterday, even as we had these conversations, we were cautious. We were in a state of apprehension on the back of the fact that it was raining still in some parts of the Volta, Eastern, and other regions. Some showers here. Today, that has continued. It may not technically affect so much the water levels, the Akosombo Dam, and the levels of spillage, but still a concern, especially for those in the affected areas. Well, when we return, we're going to be looking at the rain and how they have been in terms of your community. What has it been like? What was your community like? We've been asking you to share footage, photos, whatever you have of what your community looks like. When we return on the AM show, we'll get into that. Do stay. Welcome back on the AM show. Now, it has been raining heavily in some parts of Accra. My stretch pelted with rain. I'm sure your stretch as well. And you know, it poses quite a lot of hazards when you have to drive through those. Sometimes trees get felled and all of that. But what has been the picture in your community, your neighborhood? You can share via social media. Joy News on Facebook with us. Any pictures or videos you have to share. And when we activate the phone lines, hopefully at the end of the show, maybe you can share with us as well what the picture has been in your community. Hopefully not like we are seeing in other parts of the country. But joining us to give us some perspective on what we can expect by way of the rains over the next few days and maybe week, we have Raphael Boachi. He is manager of the Kotoka International Airport Meteorological Office. Raphael joins us for a conversation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. Boachi, we're grateful that you've taken the time, busy as you are, to join us on the AM show. The rains are hitting hard again, and of course all of us are concerned on the back of the things we've seen across different parts of the country. But what would you say is the pattern we are in now? Should we expect more rain, and how heavy can we expect the rains to be?
Thank you. Good morning to your viewers. Beginning of the year, we came out with a seasonal forecast where we invited most of the media houses. And then we announced that we expect above normal rains, above average rainfall, especially for most parts of the country, except some few regions that's to the western side, around the Bono and northern parts of the Ahafo regions, that we were expecting some normal to below normal rainfall. But for most parts of the country, we expected above normal rainfall. And that's exactly the picture we are seeing. What we are in now is what we call the minor rainy season. Not minor in the sense that it's not heavy or it's not torrential, but minor in the sense that the period within which it rains, like the season starts from September and ends in November. That's September, October, November, especially for the southern half. The northern half of the country has a different pattern of rainfall. It has a rainfall of what we call the unimodal, beginning from April, May, June, July, and then August, September. It peaks actually in August, where we, in the southern half, talking of regions like Volta region, Eastern region, Ashanti region, Ahafo region, down south to northwest, the western north region, as well as Greater Accra and Central region, and then Western region. We expect these regions to experience this September, October, November rainfall, and that's what we are seeing. It's still going to be heavy. We are not out of November yet. We are just entering into November. I mean, we are on our way to enter into November. And once November has not been exhausted, we still expect such heavy rainfall.
Now, like you've mentioned, and as we know, this is the shorter rainy season, but it's the heavier one. But heavy is relative. Year on year, heavy can take quite a turn. How heavy has the rain been so far, and what can we expect as we get into the eye of the storm, so to speak? Because we know that as time wears out, it gets even heavier approaching November. What can we expect in the next few days and maybe till the end of this month?
Yes, to the end of this month, let me go back to the definition of the heavy. We have a measure for a rainfall event, which we have between 8 millimeters and 20 millimeters of rain per hour. We expect that to be a heavy rainfall. And that is exactly what we are experiencing and what we still expect to occur. When you have a whole day rainfall, as a 24 hours rainfall, we expect our 100 millimeters of rain to call it a heavy rainfall. And that is exactly what we are having. Most of the stations we have now from Volta region, our stations there, and then stations in Ashanti region, we are recording above these 8 millimeters of rain for an hour. That is what, therefore, we term them as heavy rainfall. None of them is giving us slight rain, though sometimes we have slight rain and sometimes we have moderate rain. But most of these storms that track over the eastern flanks of the country across to the western portions, they are all bringing in heavy rainfall, and we still expect it to continue. As I speak to you right now, there is a moderate to heavy storm that is still lurking around the eastern flank of the country, around Lomé. Now it's around Lomé, and we expect that in an hour or two, it should be in the Volta region to affect certain places. And then later in the afternoon into the evening, we expect it to move through the eastern region and then later to the Ashanti region. So that is what we are expecting today. And then the storm that we experienced last night, that one actually moved from the ocean. That one is as a result of instability of the ocean, which caused the atmosphere to be saturated through the night hours. And then we experienced its rains this dawn. We still expect places around Cape Coast, around the central region and the western region, especially the western north regions, to experience heavy rains this morning. As I'm speaking to you, they are in the rains. And then later in the afternoon to move into the Ashanti regions, as I've mentioned earlier. So that is what we are expecting for the day. In the coming days, we still expect rains, especially as we move into the weekends. The office which gives this forecast, these public warnings, is the Central Analysis and Forecast Office at the head office, and they came out with an outlook for the week that during the weekend, we still expect some rains. And so we still expect places within the southern half, as I mentioned, to experience some rains as we go into the weekend. Whatever the update is, the media house, especially Joy, will be informed so that the public will also be kept in the know.
My final bit to you, can you pinpoint particular areas where the threat of flooding is the highest? You've mentioned regions, but we all know from where you sit, you know that when the rains hit, these areas are most affected. On the back of the nature of the rains we expect, is there a warning you could send to people in some specific areas in certain regions?
Well, I honestly do not have the data now, and I wouldn't want to commit myself mentioning areas which I might probably get it wrong. But I don't really have the data right now here. But low-lying areas, as we experienced over the years, these areas, as the areas like Jolu areas in Accra and Circle areas, we still expect such places to easily get flooding, especially when you have the drains being blocked. You still expect such places to be. But I don't have a general, specific data here to give to you. Maybe in subsequent interviews I can provide that.
And that's perfectly understandable. Thank you so much, Raphael, for joining the conversation. Raphael Boaji is manager, Kotoka International Airport Meteorological Office, and he joined us for this conversation. Well, stay with us because we have a lot coming your way up next on the AM show. Of course, we still have the hackathon, that collaboration between the Ghana Statistical Service and Statistics Denmark for those 5 tertiary institutions in Ghana. Bernice Abubeidu Lansa is on hand to tackle that conversation. Up next on the AM show.
Hi there, I hope you're doing great. It's a wonderful morning here in Accra in some parts of the country. Hope you're safe wherever you are. If it's raining, please do well to be sure of what the weather says so that you're safe. We need you alive. Thank you for staying on the AM show. I'm Bernice Abubeidu Lansa. And this morning, the Ghana Statistical Service and Statistics Denmark presents the 2023 Hackathon. It's a competition between 5 tertiary institutions. And this morning I've been joined by Dr. Faustina Frimpong, Engwa. She's the Deputy Government Statistician in charge of social and population statistics. Good morning to you, Doc. It's a pleasure to have you.
Good morning, Ben.
And let me just use this opportunity to confess that I used to be scared of statistics, but when I went to university, Madame Scholastica, and wherever you are, if you're watching, thank you so much. You just changed my mindset about statistics because it got interesting by the day. So thank you for, women like yourself who are in the field and showing us the way in terms of the importance of statistics. Now let's talk about the hackathon, right? Tell us more about it.
Thank you and good morning to your cherished listeners, and thank you for having us on your show. And so for the hackathon, it's just a competition among university students. The idea is by our mandate, we are supposed to provide quality, timely data for policy direction.
Right.
And we do provide that information, but in time past, this information we have provided has been like producer-centered, and so it's in formats that are not being useful to other people. And again, to be able to overcome the fears of others in terms of statistics, we try to make it user-friendly.
Right.
And so one of the procedures in which we did that was through the Stars Bank, which is an online repository of the data. Here with the hackathon, we are asking university students, go to this platform and see what you can churn out of it. And so the hackathon is just a nice way of seeing how students can also use this data for decision making.
So there is a correlation between hackathon and data availability, right?
Yep.
Tell us more about it.
And so with the hackathon, so the whole idea of the hackathon is we allowing these students to explore the data that we have. And so some people, just as you did mention, some people are data phobia kind of thing. And so if you just provide the figures in that numbers form alone for them, people are not really willing to use them. And so we have different products. And so we have the 10% of the microdata with the metadata, where analysts, those who have the flair for numbers, can go and they analyze themselves. The Stars Bank is where for people who are kind of in between. And so we have generated this data repository. But you go in there and you can have it in a disaggregated form for useful for your own needs. And so the data availability is that the same census data or the data that we are providing, now you can find it's the microdata form that people can use. You can find it as the repository we are talking about. And also we even have it even in census digitized atlas, where we have gone further. And then this one, when you click at the button, you'll be able to see maybe the population for maybe a region or a district, but you don't need to know the numbers or what goes in there.
So it's more like a graphic representation of
that is, yes, for the digitized census atlas is a graphical representation of that.
Fantastic. So I've seen the schools app. We'll just like to run through the schools that are participating in this competition. I think I see Legon, I see UCC, I see KNUST. There are two other crests I'm not too familiar with.
And so UDS.
Okay, UDS.
And then UHAS.
And UHAS. Okay, so these 5 schools. So I just want you to tell us how the schools are going to practicalize this whole hackathon and what qualifies who to win the prize.
Okay, so thank you so much. And so we've had the first phase already. And so we went to these public institutions. One of the ideas that at the graduate level, we try to let people go out there, collect data, and come and analyze. But we also know that usually the program is, let's say, 12 months or 18 months at most. And then asking these students to go out there to collect their own primary data. So we made this available that to reshape the idea that you don't need to go out there to look for any other extra information to be able to do your analysis. But then from the Stars Bank or from the repository that we have provided, you can do your analysis from there. So we opened up to the public universities. And so we threw it out to them there. And what we took them through was to the census questionnaire and again the data that we have. And then by their own ingenuity and what they think is critical thing that they should solve, they went ahead to do produce a product. Okay. And so we've had the first phase in the 5 universities already, where there was a competition among their own colleagues.
Okay.
And then the first 3, so from each of these 5 universities, the first 3 who won the prizes have now been brought to Accra. And so these 15 people are now going to compete at the national level.
So it means that this number has whittled down to 3.
And up to the 15.
Yes.
Yes.
And they're from just 3 universities?
No, 5 universities.
5 of the universities.
And so for each of the 5 universities, 3 winning teams from there.
Okay.
So the first, the runner-up, and the second runner-up were brought to Accra.
All right, makes sense. All right. So we're looking for solutions, right? So you're asking these students to use the data that is available on your site already to identify a problem and solve it? Is that it?
Yes. And so from the census or from the various surveys that we do, we have the data out there.
Okay.
And the data is to help policymakers make decisions for us. Now we've gotten the students.
Okay.
We've exposed them to this data.
Right.
Now they, through their own initiative and whatever they want to do, they want to find ways in which they'll be able to help solve some of Ghana's problem. And so they identify a problem and try to solve it.
So they're creating policies.
So for this round, some people are creating policy documents. Some are also using dashboard visualization and data analysis. Some are using API to really generate something. And some people are also using artificial intelligence to help solve a problem. Okay. And so through their own ingenuity, they are using this kind of technology to be able to address issues that they think is facing the economy.
And how do you hope this would translate into the general governance of the country? So these are students who produce documents largely for academic purposes, but hopefully there's a bigger dream, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
And so for us, we are supposed to provide the data, and policymakers should use it for the betterment of the Ghanaian economy. And so people sometimes shy away from these numbers. Bringing these students on board, and we are not giving them the topics. They selected their own topics trying to solve these problems. So they make data, user-friendly, more available to policymakers, and they serve as maybe a conduit between us and maybe the policymaker, because they may think that the statistics people, we are only used to numbers, and so we've given that raw numbers there. These people are transforming it so that you'll be able to see maybe a small area and estimating whether sanitation or whatever, a problem that they are solving, or an API, or maybe artificial intelligence to tell you that maybe refuse here is full of that thing. So these are bringing things there, and I believe that for policymakers who want to solve our problems and to make Ghana a better place for us, this is something that they should grasp to be able to solve our needs.
This sounds very interesting. How do we follow this? For those of us who would like to, monitor the competition and see how the schools are performing and, be acquainted with some of these wonderful policies that are coming up. How do we follow the hackathon?
And so these students were brought down to Accra last Sunday. And so we are hosting them at the Wesley Towers. Okay. And so that's where they've set up, and these students are having their program and then the competition. So that's where they have their products they are working on. They have their mentors with them. They have they have questions that people will ask them. So somebody can come to Wesley Towers to see where they are. You can walk in there to see what they are doing. But again, on Thursday, that will be the final product that these students, the 15 teams, will be able to pitch against each other to be able to get the information to know who wins the crown as the national hackathon champion. And again, we can have the Twitter account, and we have other information.
So the Ghana Statistical Service, we can follow you and we can get updates on all of this.
Yes.
All right. So,
and again, we are working in collaboration with Joy, and so we can get
seeing that right here on the Joy News channel. But finally, this is just 5 public universities for now. Do you hope to extend it? For the hackathon itself, just share the future plans for us.
Okay, so yes, one benefit for even these competing students is we're reshaping graduate studies and research at the tertiary level, so that people know you don't need to go out there to collect your own data, but you can use data from the project work.
I know that data collection is a big deal for a lot of you.
Again, from this product that these students are churning out, we believe that as policymakers or people who use or need people to solve problems, these people can land on maybe a good employment for them when they finish. But the other interesting thing is that after this public university, we are extending to the technical universities. And so in November, we have the Statistical Week. That is from the week of the 14th to the 18th. Exactly on the 18th is the African Statistics Day. And so we're going to the technical universities to be also give them the opportunity to see what they can explore their data and also come up with, all with the interest of helping solve development policies for the country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Faustina Frimpong Angua is Deputy Government Statistician in charge of Social and Population Statistics. And this morning she's been sharing this wonderful idea of the 2023 Stats Bank Hackathon. But before you go, you want to thank your sponsors?
And so I want to say a big thank you to Stats Denmark. Traditionally, the people in the Global South usually just give figures or stats things that are maybe static in one way. And so through their collaboration, we'll be able to produce the Stats Bank. So we thank them for that collaboration. We also want to thank the public universities opening their doors and accepting to be able to be part of this and to take this mantle on. And again, we want to say thank you to Joy for giving us opportunity to share these ideas onto
we
the
are
nation.
gladly excited to be part of this collaboration. So just stay with us here, and the grand finale will be coming up on Thursday.
Yes.
We will be letting you in on which school wins, and then we will also be sharing with you the fine details of the policies and the products that they have put together to solve the problems they identified through data put together by the Ghana Statistical Service. We're not done with education. When I come back, I'll be speaking to one of our sponsors for the broadcast of the National Science and Maths Quiz, New Crystal Hospital. Please stay for that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for staying here on the AM show. I have such a wide smile because I've got a pleasant surprise for you. So I'll tell you that surprise much later. But I've been joined by a rep from the New Crystal Hospital, Abednego. Hello, nice to meet you. And then I have Akuma Mamazimbi. Hello.
Hi, Bernice.
Hello.
Medase. Lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you too. I'm so excited to be talking to you. I have no
Same
idea.
here.
I grew up watching Akuma, and so it's a pleasure to have her here. She is the brand ambassador for New Crystal Hospital, and Abednego Sebi is the marketing manager of New Crystal Hospital. It's a pleasure to have you here. And New Crystal Hospital help us bring the live coverage of the National Science and Maths Quiz. We're so grateful for that. Let me start off with you. What is the New Crystal Hospital?
All right.
What do you have to offer us?
Okay. So good morning to you and good morning to our cherished viewers. New Crystal Hospital is a private hospital that is owned by Ghanaians and run by Ghanaians. And then we are the best private hospital in Ghana. Yes. We won the CIMG Private Health Facility of the Year.
Wow.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you. We are ISO 5701 certified, and then 2701 and 901 certified. So we provide both primary and secondary healthcare. We have a lot of branches in Ashaiman, Tema, and then Ajekoju, Michelle Camp, and then Takoradi.
Wow, that's impressive, eh? New Crystal Hospital. And I'll come back to you to find out why you decided to sponsor the NSMQ. But let me speak to Akuma. You are the brand ambassador for New Crystal Hospital, and I know with your years of experience, your brand you have built over the years, this had to be a good one for you to accept to be a brand sponsor. Tell me what excites you about what New Crystal Hospital has to offer.
All right, thank you so much, and good morning to our cherished viewers. In fact, when the favor fell on me, because there were a lot of media personality out there, but the favor fell on me that they want me to be part and parcel of their hospital as to lead in most of the things they do. I embraced it. My team did a little research, and we saw that, hey, they have been there for years. And the research made us know that 90% they serve a lot of women. So it's like women's hospital.
Okay.
And then their facility and the equipment are enormous and it's affordable.
Okay.
They serve the grassroots. And if you check my background, I also serve the grassroots and I deal with a lot of women. I'm women's advocate and dealing with widows and other women. We've been in for 15 years. So when they came, I said, okay, They told me you already work for women already, so we know you can talk to them more, because if you see their ultra-modern hospital now, you know, looking at it, you say, I can't go there, but it's affordable. So they needed people like me to do a don't come here and tell everybody, hey, it is your hospital. Don't look at the beauty and the huge.
Think it's too expensive.
It's too expensive. No, it's for you and me and everybody. So, and they do a lot of things free for the women.
Okay.
You know, like just recent, you know, we are in the month of October.
Yeah.
We did free scanning of breast screening. And as I speak, we are operating 20 and more women free.
Wow.
We are not taking anything from them. Wow. All you need is your NHIS. And for your family to say, yes, we wanted to do it, and that is it. Wow. So New Crystal Hospital is for all, and I'm so happy to be part and parcel of the hospital.
Thank you so much for the work you do, Akuma. Medase. So we're talking about the New Crystal Hospital, and Akuma just said it beautifully. It's about affordability, but having a world-class service attached to that. You don't usually get that, because if it's a world-class service, it means you're going to pay huge amounts for it. So you should visit the New Crystal Hospital. How do we get in touch with you beyond, you've shared your locations with us, Ajin Kotukua, Shaman, Takrade,
yes,
Michelle Camp. So if we want to contact you for specific locations or to find out the specific services you offer, especially, sorry for my bias, women health care, how do we contact you? How do we find you on social media?
Okay, so sorry, before I come to that, let me say New Crystal, we have both primary and specialist services.
Okay.
So for parents, for instance, one key thing or one thing that is dear to you is for your baby to be able to call you mama or daddy. And at New Crystal Hospital, we have a pediatric clinic, and it's being managed by a specialist, and we have ultra-modern resources or facilities. So for instance, if you give birth to a baby, we'll be able to screen the baby and know whether he can be able to speak or hear. And if there's an issue, we'll be able to diagnose, and early treatment is going to help. Aside that, our women, your skin is your beauty. And you need the confidence to show off your body. And at New Crystal Hospital, we have a skin specialist that anything that has to do with the skin, whether pimples, keloids, stretch marks, even if it's a tattoo you want to erase, we have the specialist that will help you to sort all that. And to our companies, we can help you in the medicals of your employees, both pre-employment or when the person is about to exit. So New Crystal Hospital, we have a variety of services that are very affordable, just like Mama Zimbi has said. So you can reach us out on our toll-free number, which is 0800 180 260. I take the number again, 0800 180 260. Or you can visit our website, www.newcrystalhealthservices.com, or follow us on the same channel on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, New Crystal Health Services.
That's fantastic. I'm so excited that we have you here, because I know that many of us have health needs that must be met. And so when you talk about cleaning a tattoo, you know, dealing with stress, these are things that, you know, affect people's confidence.
Yes.
And so it's a good intervention that you have put in place. But let's talk about the NSMQ. Why is New Crystal Hospital sponsoring the NSMQ?
Great. So at New Crystal, if you look at our tagline is growing together in good health. And for us to be able to grow together in good health, it means we need the personnel. And the National Science and Maths Quiz proves to be one of the programs that helps to improve science and maths education in Ghana. And most of the students that comes up or goes through this program, most of them come into the health service or the health center. So we felt that this is an opportunity for us to contribute to education, to encourage and to support our young, brilliant students to study hard and become the manpower that the company and the country needs, so that we can all be able to grow together in good health.
Thank you so much. And the NSMQ, I know that many of you are looking forward to the finale, which is coming up sometime next week. Yes. And so stay with us for all the details of that. And New Crystal Hospital helps us bring you the live coverage of the National Science and Maths Quiz. Is your school still in the competition? No. My school didn't come on social media. I'm just offering support. But Mama Zimbi, I'll give you the last word.
Okay.
You've just told us beautifully what New Crystal Hospital has to offer. But, you know, many women sometimes really delay in accessing health care. You know, even for the breast cancer, it's become quite a topical thing that early detection is always best. Whatever it is, even if it's a skin rash, whatever it is, you know, we're so busy taking care of other people as women, as mothers. We've given our all that we don't have time for ourselves. I want you to talk to the women.
Okay.
And tell them why they should visit New Crystal Hospital and why we should take our health very important.
All right. So that is why they came for me, because they know I can get to the women so easily, and by grace and favor, they listen. I remember a month ago, we went for market education, and I was talking to the women, and they just said, yeah, we didn't know, Walio, hey, Menya, it's that affordable. And that woman was there. One of them had some rash. You know, then let's just look at her, give her a cream, checked her, and it was gone. So she also started telling everybody, hey, all of you get to New Crystal Hospital. When you have your NHIS, it's simple to go. Look, life, when you are gone, you're gone. And I tell them, don't wait till you can't take water. Please, in a year, get yourself, divide the year into 4. Every quarter or 3, every quarter, go and have a general health check. All right? Don't think you are able to get up, you go and come, you eat all the food you have to eat, you drink all the water and you're okay. No. What gets into our stomach, we never know. So please, let New Crystal Hospital be a hospital, and it's affordable for you.
Thank you so much, Akuma. Medase. Well wrapped up beautifully. Don't forget to go for your checkup. Akuma Mama Zimbi. See how she's looking young. I was watching her as a child, but she's still looking fresh and beautiful. And I know you gym as well. So so she knows what she's talking about when she talks about you visiting the New Crystal Hospital. And this morning she's been here to tell us why we should take our health important. She's a brand ambassador of New Crystal Hospital. And Abednego Sebi, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, please.
I knew I said I'll give her the last one, but you look like you want to say something.
Yes, please. Yes, please. So I just want to thank the management, our CEO, Dr. Wisdom Ambegletor, for the great work he's doing for the company and the nation at large. And at New Crystal Hospital, we are committed to giving quality healthcare to our clients. That is why we have invested in an ultra-modern 100-bed facility called the New Crystal Medical Mall.
You got to be there. I'll take you around. You love the place. Wow. Yeah. I'm sure you change your hospital to New Crystal Hospital. I'm telling you.
Yeah. This is fantastic.
Yeah, that's the medical mall, and very superb facility. The personnel, the professionals, they are top-notch. So we want to recommend to you anything related to health, come to New Crystal Hospital, and you are going to be in a safe hands. We'll give you the best care that you need.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Abednego Sibi. There, he's marketing manager of New Crystal Hospital. And this has been our conversation about the NSMQ New Crystal Hospital sponsorship of our live broadcast and why, like Mama Zimbi says, you should make New Crystal Hospital your hospital. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with more. Medase. Talking about the National Science and Maths Quiz, and I've been joined by Adiza Ibrahim. She's Head of Marketing, Media Relations in Electroland Ghana Limited. They are the brand owners of NASCO. Hello, how are you?
Hello, beautiful. I'm fine. Thank you.
Beautiful. Good to see you. Now, we've heard Electroland, and we've seen NASCO. But this is the first time I'm learning that you are the brand owners of NASCO. Tell us more about what Electroland Ghana has on offer.
Okay, so thank you for having me. Electroland Ghana Limited is the biggest consumer electronics appliances company in Ghana since 2006. We are everywhere in Ghana and beyond Ghana. And as apart from being the major distributors for brands like Samsung, TCL, Media, we are the brand owners of NASCO Electronics.
That's interesting.
So NASCO belongs to Electroland Ghana Limited.
That is exciting.
Yes, so NASCO television, refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machine, small kitchen appliances, everything NASCO, it belongs to Electroland. Then we have authorized distributors
around the country.
Yes, and dealers.
Okay, that's good. That's great. So I've seen your showroom. There's just one around the ring road. But just
the
tell
head
us,
office.
Yeah, that's the head office, right,
Yes,
on the ring
please.
road.
Yes.
But where can we find Electroland? So if there's somebody who's thinking that, oh, I didn't know that Electroland were brand owners of NASCO. I now want to purchase something that helps the Ghanaian business thrive. Where can we find you across the country?
Okay, so this is what we'll do. You know, we are the mother company, but we have also enabled over 400 direct resellers and redistributors and authorized dealers across Ghana. In this age where there's so much fraudulent, it's difficult. If you really want to buy directly from Electroland, which we'll be glad, you follow us on social media on the right handles.
Okay.
There are certain things you need to take note. But if you want to just buy from a dealer, be very careful
that they are authorized.
Look at the branding. Usually our brand position is such that it's in sync with anybody that deals with us. So if there's an authorized dealer or reseller, you realize that the branding is the same. Even though there are some people who would want to take advantage of it and fraud people, but be very careful. Or you deal with us, you call our numbers, or you follow us on our authorized social media handles, or you go to www.electrolandgh.com, and then you deal with us, or you send an email to info@electrolandgh.com, or to me, marketing@electrolandgh.com.
I know that a lot of people want to directly deal with you. Marketing@electrolandgh.com. Yeah, so that's it. If you're interested in making bulk purchases and then, you know, hoping to be a redistributor, a reseller, Adiza Ibrahim is willing to help you. But Adiza, you know, times are hard.
Yes.
People would like to purchase items, or maybe someone wants to furnish a hotel, they want a certain package. Is Electroland open to that?
Yes, of course, from day one. If, I don't know if you know, in history, we are the company that started the buy and pay small with UT. Okay. Yes, we started that.
All right.
So there's actually a flexible payment terms for anybody, whether you are a public servant, or you work with a private entity, or you are even like just any individual, provided you are genuine.
Okay.
We are open. In this age, wherever you go in Ghana, all the banks, from top to middle to even the savings and loan, we have so many of them we do consumer finance with. And consumer finance, depending on the bank you are dealing with, they give you a flexible amount or space of month, or even some even go beyond a year.
Right.
So you can be able to pay small and acquire. For some, you even go to them, come to us, pick a pro forma invoice, you go to the bank. I don't want to mention any bank because there are a lot. So you go to your bank, you ask them, do you do consumer finance with Electroland? You just show them the pro forma, and that's they pay upright, and then they deduct from your salary. And if you are a company and you know you are reputable, because we deal with honesty, speak to me, marketing@electrolandgh.com. There's a package for, like, if you have quite like a number of staff and you want to do something for them this Christmas and even beyond Christmas, I am there to speak to you, give you a mouth-watering offer so you can pay, but make sure you are reputable company, because we don't want anybody to defraud us.
Right.
But at Electroland, you walk in and you can purchase anything. There's something there for everybody. I'm talking from mass market to up class. There's something for everybody. That is why we deal with all the brands. Top, best, world known brand.
That's true. And honestly, I have been to your head office here at Ring Road, just on the other side of the lane, and I can say that there is indeed something for everybody. So just walk in there, and Adiza just said something about Christmas, and for those of you who want to do something for your staff, call her or message her, send her an email,
marketing@electrolandgh.com or info@electrolandgh.com or www.electrolandgh.com.
Right, and then she'll be ready to assist you. So
Yes.
I know times are hard, but that's why we have organizations like Electroland Ghana Limited.
For us, I think you don't even just buy something. Even if you are buying it on flexible payment terms, there are rewards. I'm speaking to you. We are running double promo.
Okay.
So you buy and you get. And we also
right now
buy one, get one free.
Like
yes, and we have double promo.
Rush to
and this
Electroland
promotion
Ghana.
is coming with whooping discount, and it is not a lip service, it's not a marketing gimmicks. It's coming with huge discount, and some are also coming with freebies. Some are actually coming with additional item when you pay for just one.
Okay.
And it is not a marketing gimmicks, it is real.
Okay.
We don't lie.
All right. So find Electroland Ghana Limited wherever you are. You are across the country. I mean,
Yes.
beyond your retailers, Electroland itself.
Yes. Electroland is in all the regional capital.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Recently, I went to open another branch for Takoradi. I did for Kumasi, and we'll be doing a Shaiman on Wednesday, and I'll be doing Spinters Coca-Cola roundabout. So we have over 30 direct showrooms across Ghana.
the country.
And for the resellers, authorized distributors, I cannot count because we want to be in the home of every Ghanaian.
But I'm speaking specifically to the promo. That one is only at Electroland.
It's nationwide, and it is also running in authorized dealer stores.
Wow.
The promotion, the double promo, and the buy one, get one free at NASCO is running in all authorized dealer stores and resellers across Ghana. So you can go to a dealer store, but be careful, conduct due diligence so that nobody frauds you. We are getting to Christmas, times are hard. That little money you want, we want you to have value for it.
That's so wonderful, Adiza. I'm happy you came here today. But you're also here because you are sponsors of the live broadcast of our National Science and Maths quiz. Tell me why Electroland Ghana is interested in the NSMQ.
Electroland Ghana Limited, on our vision and core value, one is society. And if we are talking society, everybody is involved. And this is education. Much as we sponsor disciplines like sport, we sponsor startup businesses, we sponsor everything. Education is also very important. Today, even if you want to become an entrepreneur, at least a certain required amount of educational level is important. And at this young stage, they need motivation. They need motivation. We are in a world where there are a lot of nuances, and these teens, adolescents, teenagers, young women, which I personally am passionate about, this is how we empower them. We reward excellence, we reward hard work, we reward dedication, we reward passion, and we reward wins. That is why we are on board with our brand, NASCO, which brings home happiness.
That's fantastic. And when you just spoke about the young girls, I just remember how painful it was to see Wesley girls and St. Louis go on the same day.
I was also rooting for the women. I was rooting for the girls. I'm like, when would they win?
I know.
When would they win? But I know we'll get there. It doesn't mean that if you're a young girl and you are watching me, or you probably participated in the quiz and your school didn't make it, unfortunately, please don't be disheartened. For me, I believe in gradual process. You will get there. It doesn't mean that the boys are better than you are. It doesn't mean that they are knowledgeable than you are. You will get there. It is a competition, and competition is a wheel of chance. You can go super prepared and you will not emerge the winner. You can even go not close to excellent and you will emerge a winner. I believe in every young girl. I believe in every young girl that wants to go on that stage, and put it at the back of your mind. Electroland Ghana Limited, with its own brand, NASCO, is always ready to support and reward excellence. And we want the girls to win.
All right.
So I'm with you next year.
Right. Next year, all right. So that's a promise ahead of next year. So all you, the young girls who are watching, please go study hard and win for your school. But Adiza, I mean, the finale is here next week, right? Yes. They're going to have Presec, Obas, and at Chimoto School. It's going to be exciting. What are your expectations?
I don't want to take sides. All three schools on there are brilliant schools. I mean, they've carved a niche for themselves. They are known for excellence in academics. So as a sponsor, I cannot mention the one that I am rooting for. Mine is to sit and watch them have a healthy competition, free and fair, healthy competition. And then when you win, you definitely come to my office,
All
or
right.
I'll come to you
All
to
right.
reward your hard work.
Right, so that's it. Adiza Ibrahim is head of marketing media relations, Electroland Ghana Limited. They are the brand owners of NASCO, and I just want to repeat, if you joined us, they are running a double promotion and a buy one get one free promotion in their Electroland offices across the country and authorized dealers across the country. So you just want to go there. They also have special packages for companies, organizations. Those of you who are looking to reward your staff, just get in touch with Adiza Ibrahim, info at marketing
at electrolandgh.com and info at electrolandgh.com.
All right, and she'll be glad to help you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you too for having
And
me.
next year you're back again. God
yes,
willing.
God willing.
Inshallah.
Because I'm rooting for the girls, so I'll be back.
Inshallah,
and we'll be
you'll be
here
here.
to celebrate.
Sure.
the girls.
Thank you so much. Well, that'll be it for my conversation with Adiza Ibrahim. We'll be back with more. Do stay. Guess who joins me? Benjamin Akakbo. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, here I am. Peace out.
I thought you were going to say, signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours.
No, I'm yours, dear.
Oh, no, not me, the audience. I mean, but we are guests.
I'm not even talking about you. I was like, belonging to them. We belong to them for 4 hours. And then I've grown up.
Mind is going places.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us on the AM show. And it's time to get interactive with you. Benjamin has been having quite a number of discussions. We've been talking about the rains, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. We spoke about education,
At first, of course,
which has come to a
relation-
standstill for some of those pupils and students in the affected areas, you know, as far as the spillage of the dam, Akosombo, is concerned. And then we spoke about the rains.
Yeah.
So we are in the middle of things because this season will go all the way into November.
Yeah.
And as it goes further, the worse the
And then
the
there's
rains are
also
going-
an impact because we are not sure if those rains will feed into the Akosombo Dam and what it's likely going to look like for our friends and family who live in the south of the dam and all those areas. So they are related, very strongly related. I struggled a bit at dawn because I could see the lightning in my room. It was that bad.
Wow.
Yeah, I could.
It rained.
Literally
heavily.
see it, like blue lights, like the whole room lights up. I'm like, wow, what's happening? But like Benjamin
It
says,
was like a discotheque in your room. Strobe lights.
we have our first caller from Accra. Hello, Richard. How are you? Thank you for calling us. Please share your thoughts.
What I have to say is about this spillage. Can I talk?
Yes, please.
Please go ahead.
Please, I want to know what. Now, when you look at the level of the water, it is still as we saw it from last week or last week. I don't see why the water level is still not going down. Is it that VRA have not done anything? They've not gone to where the river enters the sea to dredge this, because I don't understand why up to now the water is still at that level. I don't know. So because we are always talking about relief, but this water needs to go down.
Right. And when you say the water going down, I just want a bit of clarity. Do you mean the water levels of the dam or
to drop? Yes.
Of the dam or of the floods in the communities?
The flood.
Okay.
Yeah, the flood in the area to drop, because it still looks like it is still at that same level we've been seeing. Unless maybe the pictures that you are showing us are those old pictures and the water level in people's houses have dropped. But if not, then what is VRA doing? Because up to now, if they have not gone to the sea to dredge, because the whole problem of this thing is dredging. They didn't dredge. They didn't distill the waterway. That's why we had this problem.
Right.
So if they have, up to now, they still can't go there and do the desilting, then they are killing the people. Because we will still have this flood level
still at where it is. But if they go and do it, within 2-3 days, all the water will enter the sea, and then that ends it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. We can pick maybe 1 or 2 more calls on this matter. But Bernice, so his point is a bit here, a bit there. Yeah. Dredging, yes, but if you look at the quantum of water in the community, it's no joke. Of course, some of the footage we've been showing are from a few days ago and all of that. We still try to get fresh footage to show you, but it's
but the last time we checked,
with the other spillages that we are and with the other spillages we are expecting, it doesn't look like it's going to be any different. The practicality of dredging, maybe the experts will have to shed light on that.
I remember speaking to one of the MPs. I think not one of the Tong, not Okudzeto Ablakwa's.
The Maxwell Lukuto, who is a candidate.
Not Maxwell. I think the current MP, and I think there were concerns about some dredging that was planned, and the people were saying that the oysters were going to be affected. There was a dredging that didn't really happen, so we need to follow up on that. But we have a next caller from Jowolu. Hello, Peter. Thank you for joining us on the AM show. Kindly share your thoughts.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm glad that you received my call. Well, my small contribution is that, like the other gentleman said, it seems that the old pictures are the same ones we are seeing, because from what I can confirm, the water has started receding.
I'm sorry, Peter. I'm struggling to hear you. Can you kindly speak up?
Okay, so from what I am getting from the flooded areas, it seems the water is receding now. So probably we are seeing old pictures, and also with the dredging of the sea, the estuary, I think we also understand that the fresh water doesn't enter the sea. When it goes in, it will come back out. The sea doesn't really accept fresh water wholly like that. So all this water that is going in, most of it will come back inland. These are things that maybe can get the experts to explain to people. I think it will help more so that people will know exactly what's going on.
And Peter, if you mind sharing, and what's your expertise? I'm just curious because this is an important point you're raising.
Yes, because I've lived around the Ouija Dam for a long time. I know how it works. The sea doesn't wholly collect fresh water. It will come back. So I've lived around Ouija for a long time. We've experienced this flood for several years, in the 80s and now. So we know that when the water goes into the sea, it will come back. And also, it looks like the flood is coming from the north. And if places like Bando is flooded, then it means it's not only the opening of the dam that's causing that. There's a major problem upstream. So if they don't open the dam, it will cause more. If that dam should break right now, the whole of Accra will flood. Because whatever goes into the sea, it will come back out. The sea can only take a level of water. So I think we should, and it is also like taking things there. Why don't we let NATMO coordinate all that? Take the sensitivity to NATMO and they share it so that we can track what's going on.
Right. Peter.
Because it seems everybody is just an expert all of a sudden, and everybody is sharing food. And then that's why the corruption comes in, because you don't allow the state to work.
Well, we're grateful, Peter, for the point you've made. My only surprise is the fact that he didn't mention Jowolu itself, which also is prone to flooding. The last time there were some heavy rains, I remember coming from the Independence Square, and I had to go through that area. I mean, from all the way from Kawokudi, around the mosque, through Kawokudi, through the pig farm roundabout, heading into
terrible.
Flooded.
But it's
the road itself was flooded. Cars had to. You're using a saloon car, and cars. The water is up to your car tires. Like you are. You're actually wading through the water, and you're being cautious so it doesn't enter your engine, and it's terrible.
Well, that's all time will permit us. We can't pick any more calls, but it's interesting because there's someone who is familiar with Ghana history who was telling me about the names of places. And how those places indicate how close they are to existing water. So something like far no far.
Where we find ourselves.
Where we find ourselves. So I think far is water, right? If my memory serves me
I'm
right.
not a guy.
So there's some correlation with where you are, how it's named, and how close it is to water. And they explain that that's why there are some places that will always flood. The way they are even named tells you that these are places that have those issues.
You mean way back in time?
Yeah, way back in time.
Our forebears even knew.
Yes.
I've heard stories about Legon, and Wogon, Ayawasto West to Wogon, and other places. But these are interesting bits. Just to reference quickly what the gentleman said about the fresh water not mixing with the seawater. I've heard some comments about that. I have not conducted any scientific check, but I also, that thought actually came to mind, and we really have to look at what we can do to ease the flow of the water, but ensure that it's not something going that will eventually come back to haunt us.
Definitely. Thank you so much once again for your company on this edition of the AM show. We are super grateful every morning you join us. You're leaving here, but we are leaving you in the capable hands of Aisha Ibrahim, who is going to continue with bringing you developing stories and analysis on them. That's news that's coming up shortly, but from Benjamin and I is goodbye until tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Take care. Sorry.